Stand the brave Parnell and taught them well and truly persecuted. Where are the stares and jeers that you proudly let us hear when our heroes of 16 were executed? Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lakes of Killashandra. Show your wife how you won medals up in Derry. You murdered 16 men and you'll do the same again. So get out of here and take your bloody army. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lakes of Killashandra. Oh, come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders.
Buckingham Palace announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Okay. Let's get it started. And it's me. It's your boy, Donkus Jonkus Monkus. How are we all doing, chat? Good to see you. It's the first stream of the week. It's Monday, It's the afternoon. We're about, 3:30 p.m. UK time. God knows how early that is for the Americans, but I'm impressed that you're all awake so early. The early bird catches the worm, they say. But that's all capitalist nonsense, isn't it? So it's completely irrelevant. Welcome everybody who's here. We got YouTube chat, we got Twitch chat, everything like that. We got Catgirl Steph, hello. We got Chloe B. We also got Odnon. We also got TTK. We got Valerie, the lovely Italian. Hello, hello, hello. If I've missed anyone, I apologize. We also got in the YouTube chat GD Pack NW. Welcome in. How's it going, everyone? Yeah, 10:30 a.m. EST. Ninny161, good to see you. Hey, Prince. Good to see you too, Prince Infidel. Good morning / time of day to everyone. Yes, good to see you all. Donald Monald, yeah, that's me. That's absolutely correct. It's my real birth name, isn't it? It's the name I was given when I was born. Yeah, how are we all doing? What's up? Manic Opaque as well in the YouTube chat. How are you? Good to see you. Feeling refreshed, feeling revitalized. Had a really, really good Red Planet stream last night. Doing a lot of news, doing a lot of updates. Talking about, you know, sort of like activist New Year's resolutions, which is really nice. If you didn't get to check that out, make sure you check it out on the VOD channel. Well, just the Red Planet YouTube channel. It's at Red Planet Show on YouTube. So make sure you go check that out if you missed it. If not, make sure you go subscribe, smash that notification bell, because we're going to be doing streams on YouTube for the foreseeable time future. So there you go. At this point, it's actually a dead name because you use Muel IRL. That's true, but I would never... Odnon! Oh my god, I'm sorry. I've still got my alerts silenced from last night's show. Odnon, thank you so much for the fucking £5 dono already. Just starting the stream. Revitalized Mule. Thank you so much, Odnon. I'm going to replay that. There you go. There you go.
Revitalized MUEL.
The MUEL, that's right. Thank you so much, Odnon. Speaking of Odnon, please, everybody, go follow Odnon on Twitch. He's an amazing streamer. Really, really cool. What, that doesn't work. That's not even a command. There you go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please go follow Odnon, an amazing dude, an amazing streamer. Check him out. I believe he just streams on Twitch at the moment. Not sure if he streams on YouTube for the YouTube chatters. Ori, hello, welcome in. We got Falk1989. Good to see you too. Have you seen Dual Polarity is back? China is calling for the establishment of a Palestinian state. I've not seen that. Hit me up with a source in the chat. Let us know when you got a source ready to go, and TTK or Chloe can give you a permit, and we can have a look at that. It'll be very exciting to have a look at that, because we are going to be watching the ICJ court hearing from South Africa today. So going to be a really legal-pilled, law-brained, law-champ, legal-pilled stream today. So it might get very, very heavy, very, very boring for you. I do apologize for that. But yeah, I think it's very, very important to broadcast this. I think it's very, very important to like share this as much as possible, because lots of mainstream news media are simply not doing any of that for the South Africa hearing. They're broadcasting the Israel response, but not the South Africa hearing, the accusations, the leveling of the accusations. So yeah, doing my part in basically trying to seize the means of communication. That's what we're doing up here. Bing bang boom, I even did the currency conversion. Yes, you did, and it's very, very good. We're on the 15th. We're at the middle of the month, by the way, chat. And so if you want to be unlocking double feature movie night for this month, which means that this month we'll be having not just 2 double feature movie nights, but 3. So the next 3 consecutive weekends will be double feature movie nights. Yes, I did miss double feature movie night that I was planning to do on Saturday. I'll explain that in a minute. Anyway, Layla, welcome to the stream and YouTube chat. How are you doing as well? Good to see you. Johnny, good to see you too. Go follow Johnny, everyone. Yeah. Also, go follow Chloe B. yeah, please go shout out Chloe B for me as well, TTK. That'd be really helpful. Thank you very much. What are we up to? Where am I up to in the chat? It's very difficult with like 2 chats now. I'm trying to be like, what's going on? But we got Chloe talking, saying doing good, just trying to stay warm in this cold front. We're in minus 22 degrees Celsius where I'm at right now. Holy fucking shit. Minus 22 Celsius? I mean, at least I'm hoping that, you know... Oh, Lautrec!
Ayaya.
I believe that's pronounced Ayaya. Lautrec, thank you so much for the £10. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. Yes, if we do hit £250 on the stream today, we will be unlocking the 3rd double feature movie night of this month. So please consider that. And then also if we hit £500 by the end of the month, we'll be unlocking Alina and Muel retro video game stream where we'll be on the couch in the other room playing retro video games on the Switch. Very exciting, very cool. So you got that to think about, haven't you, when you consider donating off Twitch. It is, of course, very important to sub off Twitch because Twitch likes to ban people for doing things like talking about Palestine, doesn't it? So consider that. I don't think we need any more of an incentive to do so at this stage in the game, considering how much this has affected lots of people that we know. Anyway, fuck Twitch is the message. So, that's that. Rough day, only slept for an hour, but work is over. Good to hear it, Just Johnny. Good to hear it. 15th of January is also MLK's birthday. Well, yeah, may he rest in power. Like, I know about some people on Blue Sky or Twitter or whatever talking about, you know, how MLK... They love to just be ahistorical and revisionist about what MLK said and did. There was something that I saw on Blue Sky, and I'm going to try and find it real quick. I reposted it this morning, I think. It was about MLK in particular. Let's have a little look. No, I'm completely chatting out my ass here, but if I scroll down for like a hot second, I'm sure I'll find it real quick. Let me scroll down. It's a few hours later now. After when I actually like saw this one particular thing. I think it was this. And it's a quote from him. Yep, this is an MLK quote. If peace means a willingness to be exploited, economically, dominated, politically, humiliated, and segregated, I don't want peace. If peace means being complacently adjusted to a deadening status quo, I don't want peace. If peace means keeping my mouth shut in the midst of injustice and evil, I don't want it. Peace is not simply the absence of conflict, but the existence of justice for all people. And that's an excerpt from Martin Luther King's When Peace Becomes Obnoxious. It's a speech that he delivered 18th of March 1956 at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. So very, 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 very cool. You know, unlike a lot of people, you know, say, Martin Luther King was absolutely for the liberation by any means necessary of all marginalized and oppressed peoples everywhere. So, you know, next time libs try and tell you that, you know, Martin Luther King wouldn't have advocated for violence, you tell them to shut the fuck up because they're idiots and wrong, as per usual. So that's that. Anyway, where are we up to here? Husker, good to see you. HS Sork, good to see you too. Val says, blue skies are fun because you get to see what liberals turn into when there's not as many conservatives around. Yes, that's right. They turn into conservatives, don't they? That's correct. It's just them, communists, and the groups they claim to protect, yeah. Hey, Beanie Gaby, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Just dropping by to say hi. Is it true the BBC didn't show the South Africa side of this hearing, by the way? I heard they just showed the Israel side. Yes, that's absolutely correct. It's completely fucked. Is it a holiday over there? No, but it should be a holiday everywhere. If there's one thing that we need, I think, in this world, it's more holidays. I'm pro more holidays. It's funny how laid bare their ideology is. No, not my status quo. Yeah, they love the status quo, don't they? Yeah, they love that shit. Yeah. MLK made a calculated decision to go with non-violent protest, but then he's on record as regretting some of his actions because liberals misunderstood it. Literally, yeah, literally. Hey, Gunman Master, good to see you. How you doing? How was my weekend? I hear everybody in the chat asking. It was fine, thank you for asking. People who definitely ask that. Everyone's always interested to ask how I am, and I'm not resentful about it a little bit. That's a joke, obviously, I'm being sarcastic. Yeah, no, my weekend was alright. I was supposed to play a rave on Saturday night, so that's why double feature movie night did not go ahead. It will be going ahead this weekend because, yeah, things are much more organized and there's a lot more things settled in my life at the minute, which means that I'm able to organize things a lot better. So, yeah, the rave was basically taking up most of my day because there was a lot of information that was miscommunicated and I didn't know where it was happening. No one knew where it was happening or what time anyone was supposed to be playing or anything like this, etc, etc, etc. So, yeah, not like amazing, but it did mean that I had to stay up till like 1 a.m. sort of like practicing and not really knowing where anything was. And then at 1 a.m. I decided, actually, yeah, I'm just going to fucking sat this off because it's getting way too late. So that's what happened. That's why there was no double feature movie night in the Discord on, you know, that's that basically on Saturday. What do we got here? Excuse me, Muel. Got an Indian source, I think, saying China's foreign minister called for statehood. Yeah, can we get a permit for Falk 1989, please? We're going to bait out some upset liberals again today. I don't doubt it. Yeah, I don't doubt it. I'm still at my rent's house. They have the Beebs news on a lot. And oh my god, what a shit show their coverage of Palestine is. Yeah, it's fucking disgusting. It's fucking gross. Yeah. Yeah, let's take a look at what Falk's got to show us in the chat. So this is NDTV. Any media literacy nerds in the chat know how, like, reputable this source is? This was updated January 14th. So, I went on a date last week with a Latina trans woman, not multiple women. I went on a date last week with a Latina trans woman from Brazil, and we were talking quite in depth actually about this kind of stuff, about how like the BRICS bloc, which is Brazil, India, China, Russia, South Africa, who are now sort of like, you know, basically coming together to try and form another power bloc. I'm not particularly interested in like power blocks that are, you know, going to recreate the imperialist hegemony of the US. But it is an interesting development nonetheless. But this appears to be saying that China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi called Sunday for the establishment of a Palestinian state and a ceasefire in Gaza, where 100 days of the Israel-Hamas war have killed thousands. In a press conference with his Egyptian counterpart Sami Shukri in Cairo, top Chinese diplomats said it is necessary to insist on the establishment of an independent, fully sovereign state of Palestine on the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. Yeah, based, I agree to a point. I think that maybe we should be going even farther, which is, you know, to say that we should have just Palestine because Israel is a fake state, really, and only really exists on the grounds of genocide of the Palestinians. So that's my particular opinion. I think it's good. I think it's definitely like, you know, progress. It's certainly progress. There've also been a lot of developments. I shared this on my Instagram last night. I'm going to see if I can bring it forward for the show. Instead of just like sharing stuff on my Instagram, I should be like collating it in like a Google Doc and bringing it up in the show, innit? Do you know what I mean? But let me try and find this on my Insta. I put this on my Instagram story last night. Two-state solution thing when I first saw the Al Jazeera mention it in brief. No, it's fine. Like, I'm not about to ban you for being a two-state solution apologist or anything. Don't worry about that. Okay, yeah, so there's an article here. This is a new development. So, you know, bit of a content warning. We're going to talk more in depth about this as I get into the show, basically. But yeah, if we have a quick look at the headline here, it basically says how Israeli forces trapped and killed ravers at the Nova Festival. You know, that Nova Festival that people are talking about a lot about how, like, you know, in quotation marks, Hamas definitely like murdered everybody and, you know, sexually assaulted a bunch of people and this, that, and the other. Turns out, surprisingly or unsurprisingly, depending on your, you know, analysis of the situation or understanding of the situation, that it's not the case. It might actually be the opposite that we're seeing in this particular, you know, this is from the Cradle. I don't really know what the Cradle is, but there are a lot of sources in this article, which we're going to have a look at. And I don't know if this is something that's going to be brought up in the hearing that we're going to look at in a little while. I wasn't aware of how long it is, actually. It's actually, like, incredibly long, this video. So I do want to get started with it quite soon. Hey, people over profits, how's it going? Made it to a Monday stream. Hope everyone's well. Don't forget to like the stream. Yeah, if you're over on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe the stream. It's really important. It does help with, like, you know, pushing me up in the algorithm so more and more people can check it out. And of course, that also might convert to more subs off Twitch, more donations, which means that I can survive, pay my rent, my bills, etc. So yeah, please consider that, you know. Adnan also says, yeah, if you're on Twitch, just go to YouTube and do it. Yeah, you could do that. You could do that as well. Anyway, so that's that. Yeah, I spent the most of my weekend, preparing for that rave that just didn't fucking happen. And then also on Sunday, just kind of like recovering from a very, very late night with Lena. We had like one Guinness each because it was like, oh, you know, I've not played a rave in years, and you know, a bit of a celebration kind of thing, and we like felt hungover because of it, which is just so bizarre. That's how much we drink nowadays. Just FYI, there's no links to donate over to you over on YouTube. I don't know if the commands work in chat over there. Some of the commands do, yeah. Some of the commands do, like, for example, sub off Twitch, that works. It takes a little while. It might work in a sec. There we go. Yep. It just takes a little bit of time. So I'll have to mod you over there, TTK, as well. Yeah, could do with some mods in the YouTube chat as well, but obviously no pressure. It's all good. Hey, Mr. Dank, good to see you. Listen, let's get cracking with this. Let's get cracking. I wanna get involved. I wanna give my thoughts. I want to actually hear it. I've been avoiding some of the stuff that's been said about this over the last couple of days, so I do actually want to, like, yeah, have a listen, see what's going down. Content warning for genocide and Islamophobia. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of stuff that I might not be able to actually show that's coming up on here, so just bear that in mind. But let's get cracking. Let's get cracking and let's hopefully here's some good stuff. So I've just skipped a little bit ahead because I think there's like a bunch of this like legal bureaucracy stuff that they talk about at the very start. So I've not really, like, you know, I want to like skip through a lot of that and get to like the actual hearing itself, you know.
South Africa has chosen Judge Dikgang Ernest Moseneke and Israel Judge Aharon Barak. Article 20 of the statute provides that every member of the court shall, before taking up his duties, make a solemn declaration in open court.
Lots of introductions, establishment of legal shit. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain.
Pursuant to Article 31.
How are the volume levels, chat?
Statute, that same provision.
Can you hear me clearly over the video? Is the video not too quiet, etc.?
Before inviting Judge Moseneke and Judge Barak to make their solemn declarations, I shall first, in accordance with custom, say a few words about their careers and qualifications. Judge Dikgang.
Do we want to hear this, chat? All good for me. Hey, Dr. Bud Doctor, good to see you. Do we want to hear about the qualifications? Is that? Yeah, I don't care. I really don't care, to be honest. I served on the Supreme Court. Blah blah blah. I'm a legal boy. Okay, so the judges are taking oaths. That's what this bit is. Is this
7 October?
Okay. I just want to hear what the South African representation has to say, you know?
Military operation. Thank you, Madam President. I quote, 1. The State of Israel shall immediately suspend its military operations in and against Gaza. 2. The State of Israel shall ensure that any military or irregular armed units which may be directed, supported, or influenced by it, as well as any organizations and persons which may be subject to its control, direction, or influence, take no steps in furtherance of the military operation referred to point 1 above. 3. The Republic of South Africa and the State of Israel shall each, in accordance with their obligations under the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, in relation to the Palestinian people, take all reasonable measures within their power to prevent genocide. 4. The state
You can skip this. It's the Secretary of the Court. Oh, okay. Yeah, good. So this is just like points where they're like, I think this is what South Africa have like put forward to the court, and the Secretary's just sort of like, you know, saying like, yeah, these are the points that need to be recognized. What do we got here? 14 minutes of this stuff. My God, how do people sit through this stuff actually there?
Of oral proceedings in 10 a.m.
Thursday, 11th of January at 10 a.m. That's when it was.
Both parties. This morning, the court will hear the single round of oral argument of South Africa, which has submitted the request for the indication of provisional measures. It will hear Israel tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. For purposes of this single round of oral argument, each party will have available to it a 3-hour sitting. In this first sitting, South Africa may, if required, avail itself of a short extension beyond 1 p.m. today in view of the time taken up by these introductory remarks. Before I give the floor to the agent of South Africa, I wish to draw the party's attention to Practice Direction 11, which states as follows, I quote, "In oral proceedings on the request
Let's fucking go, Chloe.
provisional measures, parties should limit themselves to what is relevant to the criteria for the..."
I'm actually having a Polish-style cup of tea today. I don't know if you can, like,
rules
see.
of jurisprudence of the court.
Well, I got lemon in it. It's just black tea with a lemon in it, no milk. Well, I don't have milk anyway. I have oat milk, but a lemon in there.
To the agent of South Africa.
It's fucking really nice if you've never tried it, by the way.
Madonsela. You have the floor, Excellency.
Okay.
Madam President, distinguished members of the court, it is an honor and a privilege for me to appear before you today on behalf of the Republic of South Africa. I wish to express my gratitude to the court for convening this hearing on the earliest possible date to entertain South Africa's request for the indication of provisional measures in this matter. In our application, South Africa has recognized the ongoing Nakba of the Palestinian people through Israel's colonization since 1948, which has systematically and forcibly dispossessed, displaced, and fragmented the Palestinian people, deliberately denying them their internationally recognized inalienable right to self-determination and their internationally recognized right of return as refugees to their towns and villages in what is now the State of Israel. We are also particularly mindful of Israel's institutionalized regime of discriminatory laws, policies and practices designed and maintained
That's right, Chloe, yeah.
to establish domination, subjecting the Palestinian people to apartheid on both sides of the Green Line. Decades-long impunity for widespread and systematic human rights violations has emboldened Israel in its recurrence and intensification of international crimes in Palestine.
Hey, Rat Acid, yeah.
At the outset, South Africa acknowledges that the genocidal acts and omissions by the State of Israel inevitably form part of a continuum of illegal acts perpetrated against the Palestinian people since 1948. The application places Israel's genocidal acts and omissions within the broader context of Israel's 75-year apartheid, 56-year occupation, and 16-year siege imposed on the Gaza Strip, a siege which itself has been described by the director of UNRWA Affairs in Gaza as a silent killer of people. As the Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination warned on December 21st, hate speech and dehumanizing discourse targeted at Palestinians is raising severe concerns regarding Israel and other states' parties' obligation to prevent crimes against humanity and genocide in the Gaza Strip. This warning has been followed by a succession of warnings, including by 37 United Nations special rapporteurs, of the failure of the international system to mobilize to prevent genocide in Gaza. Today, we are joined in court by representatives of the Palestinian state, the Palestinians who work in the fields of human rights, including residents of Gaza who were in Gaza just a few days ago. They are some of the lucky ones who managed to get out of Gaza. Their future and the future of their fellow Palestinians who are still in Gaza depend on the decision this court will make on this matter. With the leave of the court, I now call upon His Excellency, Mr. Ronald Lamola, Minister of Justice of the Republic of South Africa, to make South Africa's substantive opening remarks.
So that was just, a representative. He's basically like saying what it is. And I just think it's really eye-opening. And you could see why. We were talking in the chat, the BBC didn't want to broadcast this. Because what is happening here, I don't think that people really understand. South Africa is not really a nation that is known for now, at the moment, in the broader social fabric, the consent manufacturing machine, as like a terrorist nation. It used to be when there was apartheid in South Africa. Famously Nelson Mandela was called a terrorist. But nowadays when people think of South Africa, they think, oh yeah, South Africa, great, quote unquote normal country. Yeah, it's not something that people in the UK are thinking of. We don't even think about it in our own because it's in our own time zone. South Africa's literally in maybe an hour's difference, same time zone as the UK. So it's just not broadly thought of in the political sphere. Yeah, it's just not really spoken about. It's not really spoken. So it's seen as what most people are going to think of as a quote unquote proper country. And, which is why they won't listen to Iran. They won't listen to Yemen. They won't listen to, any other country in the Middle East. They certainly won't listen to Palestinians. They won't listen to Lebanon. They won't listen to, because they're all quote unquote terrorist countries. Yeah. Countries that harbor terrorist ideas, etc., etc. Cuba, even Latin American countries are not taken seriously. Yeah. Because they think, it's full of I don't know, they'll say things like, it's full of corruption and this, that, and the other, or they're not proper democracies and stuff like that. The broader racist, white supremacist thinking. And it's quite lucky, actually, that South Africa is, not seen as that now, because they're bringing this case, and it's going to be seen. Most people here in my chats, yeah, are going to know, actually, we shouldn't make judgments on any country. If any country wanted to make a declaration of genocide, an appeal to the Court of Justice, the International Court of Justice, then they should be able to. But I think, broadly speaking, that's how powerful this is, because I don't think there's any country that has beef with South Africa at the minute, other than the Netherlands, because of apartheid, right? And I think there are still people who are attempted to be being held account for the apartheid and forced on South Africa by the Netherlands in those times. Yeah, and Israel. Yeah, Israel has beef with them. Yeah, of course they do. Yeah. I'm always forgetting that Israel is seen as a proper country because I just don't see it as one. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's how powerful that is, and I think it's really important, really, really cool. Based opening remarks, and regardless, even if people want to start saying that South Africa is bad or whatever, I know that people on Twitter, I mentioned this on Red Planet last night, I know people on Twitter and Blue Sky, apologists for Israel and liberals and shit like that have been saying things like, there's a white genocide happening in South Africa, and it's A, no, B, fucking racist, C, this is just, it's something that racists love to talk about. They love to talk about how there's a white genocide happening in South Africa, but really the only thing that's really happening in South Africa is that the white people who are still there because they can't afford to leave, they weren't involved in any sort of apartheid discrimination themselves. They were born after apartheid and shit like that, they're like becoming fully immersed in the culture of South Africa. Like, you know, there's loads of posts of like white people in South Africa who are like, you know, they fully back the liberation of, you know, all different kinds of cultures and ethnicities in South Africa from, you know, the remaining trauma of apartheid and stuff. It's, you know, really important. Yeah, lots of people already calling like South Africans racist shit. You know, definitely like in Israel. That was a statement in Israel that you're referring to, Val, about them like calling them monkeys and stuff. Yeah, completely fucking insane and obviously racist. Ori says South Africa is seen as the imperial core adjacent to some extent, and they've been added the added weight of having beaten racism and shit, so they get more of that weight. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. Germany through their full-throated bootlicking support of Israel. Yeah, that's come out now, right? Yeah, that's come out now. Hey Gobs, how's it going? Can I get a shout out for Goblin Hugger, please? I think it's particularly poignant that South Africa bring in this, seeing as they why people even know the word apartheid. Right, exactly. It's also funny as well that like Israel doesn't ever want to use the word apartheid. They never want to mention it. Whereas, like, the Afrikaners in South Africa were very proud of the word apartheid. They were like, no, we have the apartheid system. It's a system that works. We're going to keep on going with it. They were very proud of it, weren't they? And, you know, Israel are sort of like a bit more smart now in terms of like, well, we're not going to say that we're doing it. We're just going to pretend it's not happening at all. And we're going to keep making this stuff up and tell loads of lies about Palestine and Palestinians, you know. So it's a very different... You know, we're having a look at like some very different ways of doing apartheid, I guess. But anyway, yeah, we're getting lost a little bit in a lot of the details here. So let's continue to hear what they got to say.
I thank the agent of South Africa for his statement, and I now invite the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services for the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Mr. Ronald Lamola, to take the floor. You have the floor, Excellency.
Thank you, Madam President.
Yeah, that's right,
Distinguished
TZK.
members of the court, it is an honor for me to stand here in front of you on behalf of the Republic of South Africa on this exceptional case. In extending our hands across the miles to the people of Palestine, we do so in full knowledge that we are part of a humanity that is at one. These were the words of our founding president, Nelson Mandela. This is the spirit in which South Africa acceded to the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of Crime of Genocide in 1998. This is the spirit in which we approach this court as a contracting party to the Convention. This is a commitment we owe to the people of Palestine and Israelis alike. As previously mentioned, the violence and the destruction in Palestine and Israel did not begin on the 7th of October 2023. The Palestinians have experienced systematic oppression and violence for the last 76 years.
He's right, and he should say it.
And every day since October the 7th, 2023. In the Gaza Strip, at least since 2004, Israel continues to exercise control over the airspace, territorial waters, land crossing, water, electricity, and civilian infrastructure.
Right, it's like, you know, the main point of it is that this has been going on since 1948, but even as recent as 2004, even if you wanted to make the argument that like Palestine has a state or anything like that, any of these like nonsense lies, you know, because like the Israel are constantly floundering at the moment trying to say that like Palestinians have their own control and Gaza was not under siege and you know they had the freedom to like govern themselves and all that kind of stuff, but actually like that's not true. It's not even remotely true. It's measurably false. Since 2004, it's provable that Israel has like consistently been in control of everything going in and out of Gaza, not just Gaza, but like, you know, the fucking West Bank as well, you know,
as well as over key government functions. Entry and exit by air and sea to Gaza is strictly prohibited. With Israel,
yeah, boats being turned around in the Med, all that stuff.
Points. Given that continuing effective control by Israel and
yes, governance means nothing in a prison city. That's true, Rat Acid.
Is still considered by international community to be under belligerent occupation by Israel.
Yeah, that's true.
South Africa unequivocally condemned the targeting of civilians by Hamas and other Palestinian armed groups and the taking of hostages on the 7th of October.
Okay, so they even mentioned other. This is a thing. I'm so sick of it. I'm so like the reaches that Israel has to come to justify what they're doing. You know, they're constantly talking about Hamas, right? They're constantly talking about Hamas. And you know how Hamas want to supposedly genocide all Jews. We've looked at the Hamas charter on stream. We've looked at both Hamas charters, even in the older one, the one that hasn't been amended in like 2017 to actually say that they want a state where people can coexist and shit like that. Even the older one didn't say that they want to genocide every Jew. They just said that they wanted to end the existence of Israel. And of course, because Israel has this idea that it is the manifestation of every Jew everywhere, that's how they're spinning it, right? So that's the reach that they're taking with Hamas in general. Hamas don't even want to genocide Jews. It's an absurd thing to even mention. They're certainly a reactionary organization. I don't think anyone's making any jokes about that or being disingenuous there. But like, you know, with always failing, everybody's always failing because Israel is framing this conversation as just being Hamas that did everything on October the 7th, when it's common knowledge actually, you know, in the Middle East at least, that it wasn't just Hamas. It was also the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine and a bunch of other different groups who were participating in Operation Al-Aqsa Flood. And the Al-Aqsa Flood operation was to take hostages in order to do a prisoner exchange to release prisoners that Israel has detained, you know, without trial, right? And, you know, that was what their aim was. And anyone who died in the process was either a military person or was unfortunately caught in the crossfire. And again, as the you know, the actual like article that I just brought up about the Nova Festival, in which 360 people died, is sort of pertaining to the fact that actually Israel caused a lot of those people to die as well. But anyway, that's kind of like, you know, part of the course here. But I want to let this guy continue.
2023. And has again expressly recorded this condemnation, mostly recently in its note verbal to it.
What I was trying to say, actually, that it's important, actually, that he acknowledged the other groups who were participating in the October 7th liberation attempt, right? I think that's super important, actually. As well, TTK saying in the chat, in some ways Israel had better optics, but in others, yeah. I wonder what things would have been like if white South Africans had TikTok prior to the end of apartheid. Right, exactly, yeah. Yeah, would it have been easier for black South Africans to like get, you know, some shit done? I don't know. It remains to be seen, but like I do genuinely think that like the reason that we're able to like see so much nowadays and the world has like gotten a lot better in terms of like recognizing what's going on there is thanks to the you know, access of social media that people have in Palestine. Hey Aslan, good to see you. Good to see you. Please, can I get a shout out for Aslan? Yeah. The Palestinian Authority exists, but they're a pantomime of a state. Yeah, that's definitely true. What else? I was going to say something else and I've completely forgotten it. Oh yeah, well it's also like very telling that in the most recent situations where Israel IOF troops have like basically corralled Palestinian prisoners from Gaza or other places in the West Bank, the first thing they have done is they've seized their phones, right? Give us your phones, can't have any phones. And that's because of what's going on now. They know literally that like, actually, they're fucking using the phones to actually broadcast to the world what is actually happening. So it's very telling, you know? Oh, I more meant that Israelis constantly tell themselves online by celebrating Palestinian death. Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, that too as well. I think that white South Africans would have been, because white South Africans in apartheid, like I don't think everybody understands just how like absolutely incredibly disgusting they were. Even in like television interviews, they did not give a fuck. I think they were worse than Israel. Unfortunately, Israel has like learned from that. And they're sort of like going, oh, okay, we can't do that because that was very obvious, and we can't do that, you know? Hey, Ed, good to see you. Good to see you.
Israel on the 21st of December 2023. That said, no armed attack on a state territory, no matter how serious, even an attack involving atrocity crimes, can provide any justification for or defense to breaches to the convention, whether it's a matter of law or morality. Israel's response to the 7th of October 2023 attack has crossed this line and give rise.
Yeah, I love how like the camera switched to the Israeli defense there. Like the, you know, okay, we better write something about that because that was pretty good actually.
To the breaches of the convention. Faced with such evidence and our duty to do what we can do to prevent genocide, as contained in Article 1 of the convention, the South African government initiated this case. South Africa welcomes the fact that Israel has engaged with the case in order to have the matter resolved by the court, after careful and objective consideration of the facts and submission put before it, as the parties to the convention have intended. This hearing is concerned with South Africa's request to the court for the indication of provisional measures and will necessarily have a narrow and particular focus. I invoke the words of Martin Luther King when he said, "The arch of the moral of the universe is long, always bending towards justice." South Africa's case will be presented by a team of 6 legal counsels, comprising of Dr. Adila Hasim, Mr. Tembeka Ngcukaitobi, Professor John Dugat, Ms. Blim Leckrone, Mr. Max du Preez, and Professor Vaughan Low. Dr. Adila Hasim, Senior Counsel, will provide an overview of the risk of genocidal acts in the perpetual vulnerability to acts of genocide. Mr. Tembeka Ngcukaitobi, Senior Counsel, will examine Israel's alleged genocidal intent. Professor John Dugat, Senior Counsel, will focus on the prima facie jurisdiction. Professor Max du Preez, Senior Counsel, will discuss the various rights currently under threat. Blinny Crowell, King's Counsel, will present the argument of agency and potential irreparable harm. And Professor Vaughan Low, King's Counsel, will speak on the provisional measures. I now request, Madam President, the court to call on Dr. Hasim. I thank you.
His Excellency, Mr. Lamola, and I now invite Ms. Adila Hasim to address the court. You have the floor, madam.
Thank you. Madam President, distinguished members of the court, it is a privilege to appear on behalf of the Republic of South Africa in this case of exceptional importance. It's a case that underscores the very essence of our shared humanity as expressed in the preamble to the Genocide Convention. It's my task to address the court on the genocidal acts that have led to this urgent request for provisional measures under Article 41 of the Statute of the Court.
Let's go.
South Africa contends that Israel has transgressed Article 2 of the Convention by committing actions that fall within the definition of genocide.
Scooching past people in the international court is goofy, yeah.
A systematic pattern of conduct from which genocide can be inferred. Allow me to place these acts in context. Gaza is one of the 2 constituent territories of the occupied Palestinian territories, occupied by Israel since 1967. It is a narrow strip of approximately 365 square kilometers, as depicted in the map now displayed. Israel continues to exercise control over the space, territorial waters, land crossings, water, electricity, electromagnetic sphere, and civilian infrastructure in Gaza as well as over key governmental functions. As the Honourable Minister...
And it's like, I think that this is just very like, it's annoying that this is the case, right? Because why should the entire of humanity have to sit there and feel vindicated that a approved person or like an approved set of people who are like running a state, right? Because it's an abstract concept, isn't it? A state is an abstract concept, and you know, courts and law are all like abstract concepts. Like they don't make any sense really. Like a lot of the time, like it's some kind of like attempt to measure and create justice that doesn't really actually amount to justice in a lot of the times. And it's a bit of a I don't know what to say. It's a bit of a tinged sense of vindication for me, because it's like this whole time, you know, family members are disowning me. You know, people are like questioning the validity of the claims of genocide openly all over the place. You know, on social media, in real life. You know, it's just like an actual huge gaslighting attempt. And it's all perpetrated by the state of Israel and imperialist nations that support it, right? Like the UK, the US, pretty much the entirety of Europe. And it's like, you know, what do you do when something like this happens? It feels vindicating, but in like an annoying way. Like, why should I have to feel vindicated by like these set people basically turning around and going, no, yeah, it is actually genocide. Yeah, but like I appreciate it nonetheless. Because it is still an amount of vindication, right? It's not fully like satisfying. You know, what would be satisfying would be an end to the genocide and liberation for the Palestinian people. I think at this point, there are a lot of people who won't be satisfied with anything less than that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, in a way, this is like a step. It's a step to kind of feeling that. Yeah, it's a complicated feeling. Absolutely. Hey, Henry Kathman, yeah, should have happened a long time ago, for sure. But yeah, this is how it's feeling right now. Yeah, it's great and we appreciate it, but why is it needed? Exactly, that's the whole thing. Like, it shouldn't be needed, but the hegemony controls the means of communication and the manufacturing of consent, and you know, without it, I guess, you know, we would just be at the behest of that. Extremely sad it's gotten to the point here. Yeah. I agree.
Has said entry and exit by air and sea to Gaza is prohibited, with Israel operating the only two crossing points. Gaza, which is one of the most densely populated places in the world, is home to approximately 2.3 million Palestinians.
That's right, Ori, yeah.
Half of them children. For the past 96 days, Israel has subjected Gaza to what has been described as one of the heaviest conventional bombing campaigns in the history of modern warfare. Palestinians in Gaza are being killed by Israeli weaponry and bombs from air, land, and sea.
I saw a clip of this on Instagram, I think.
They are also at immediate risk of death by starvation, dehydration, and disease as a result of the ongoing siege by Israel, the destruction of Palestinian towns, the insufficient aid being allowed through to the Palestinian population, and the impossibility of distributing this limited aid while bombs fall.
Yeah.
This conduct renders essentials to life unobtainable. At this provisional measures stage,
got a smart boy in the chat.
This court has made clear in the Gambia-Myanmar case, it is not necessary for the court to come to a final view on the question of whether Israel's conduct constitutes genocide. It is necessary to establish only whether at least some of the acts alleged are capable of falling within the provisions of the Convention. On analysing the specific...
No, it's obvious what titles they're talking about, Rat Acid. What this person is going to say, and I already know what they're going to say because I've heard this argument a million times, is they're going to say, you're bisexual, if you went to Gaza, you'd get killed. And the answer to that actually is like, yes, I would get killed if I went to Gaza, wouldn't I? By Israel. Yes, that's right.
And ongoing genocidal acts complained of, it is clear that at least some, if not all of these acts, fall within the Convention's provisions. These acts are documented in detail.
This person was in Aidan Simpson's chat the other day. They're literally child.
And confirmed by reliable...
Let's see how it goes, shall we?
It's thus unnecessary and impossible for me to recount all of them. I will highlight only some in order to illustrate the pattern of genocidal conduct. The UN statistics that are relied upon are up to date as of 9 January 2024. In South Africa's oral submissions, we will illustrate the facts that we rely on with limited use of audiovisual material. Madam President, we do so with restraint and only where necessary, and always with respect.
Yeah, don't talk to my chatters like that.
People.
Little twat. Bye.
I move now to
God, it feels so good to know that that motherfucker's not watching the stream anymore.
How Israel's conduct violates Articles 2A.
Yeah, sorry, Valerie.
2C and 2D of the Convention. The first genocidal act committed by Israel is the mass killing of Palestinians in Gaza, in violation of Article 2A of the Genocide Convention. As the UN Secretary-General explained 5 weeks ago,
shh, don't tell him, Gumba Master. I don't want that guy coming to the fucking YouTube chat, because I can't stop them from watching the YouTube chat.
As I stand before
watching the YouTube stream anyway.
23,210 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces during the sustained attacks over the last 3 months.
Yeah.
At least 70%.
Like, it's such a joke at this point. It's genuinely such a joke at this point. I don't know what this person in the Twitch chat was gonna say. But if they were in Aidan Simpson's chat being a prick, then of course they were probably like gonna say things like, "Oh, you're bisexual and you support Palestine and all Palestinians are biphobic, queerphobic somehow." And Israel are of course small being that they would never, hurt a bisexual person. Anarchist one, perhaps. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking care really. Do you know what I mean? Like, as soon as that person started like, attacking members of the chat, I'm just like, I don't have any time for that at all. Like, I don't mind if a person wants to attack me, I'll have fun with it, and we'll make a bit of content out of it. That's completely fine. But as soon as they turn on my chatters, you're my chatters, I gotta look after you, innit? Like, you're my community. I care about you, So, that's how that goes. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, sea lioning. They didn't answer a question. Yeah, there were no questions answered. But I think that's the thing. Like, you get someone like that coming in the chat, and what are they gonna say? What are they gonna say? Yeah, exactly. Like, even if all Palestinians were rabidly, murderously homophobic, it doesn't justify a genocide. Nothing justifies a genocide. Like, let's think about it as well. Anyone who's under any kind of impression at all that, like, Hamas use human shields. What's your argument here? They use 23,000 human shields? Like, how many human shields is Hamas using per Hamas military member? Like, if we're just going to talk about Hamas, yeah? Like, so one Hamas is using 3 human shields, right? So your justification is like, we're going to bomb 23,000 civilians in order to get all of Hamas. Doesn't seem that smart, actually, from a position of a country that can actually do a concentrated, directly accurate strike against a leading Hamas member in fucking Lebanon, by the way, in southern Lebanon. Like, they did that like a few weeks ago. They literally found out where he lived, heat-seeking missiles straight to his fucking gaff. Yeah? But apparently it's like, you know, no, we still haven't got all the people in Hamas, in Gaza, because, I don't know, there's just too many human shields. They just keep getting in the way. Yes, and the proper response to human shields is to not kill the human shields, actually. Yes, that's right. It's not even a good argument. You know, but if you think, even if you think of like some kind of retaliation where, like, you know, the Israeli government and military are getting emotionally involved because they're like, oh, they took hostages and this, that, and the other. It's like the at this point, you know, the comparison is huge. The gap, the sort of like, you know, the difference in amount of people killed is massive. Is massive. The disparity is the word I'm looking for, you know? It's one of those things, right? Where it's like, okay, 1,200 people were killed on October 7th, so you're going to kill 23,000 people. The majority of which, like, literally 70%. And the only reason that people, like, journalist outlets use the term, sorry, the number 70%. They say 70% were innocent civilians, right? That's because 70% were women and children, right? It doesn't mean that all the men were military targets. You know, there are lots of men in Gaza who are just like trying to live a life, just trying to live a fucking normal life, innit? They're not military people. Like, let's be completely realistic here. Just because you're a man doesn't mean you're a military. So, you know, you're a person of military personnel. You're military personnel. Like, and also just because you're a woman doesn't mean that you can't be military personnel. Like, you know, these absurd concepts, they're having to justify it like in that, so that people are like, oh, well, you know, they've killed a lot of men, but like maybe those men were in the military. Like, come on, man, do me a fucking favor. It's just like so unserious. Like all the reporting that's going on, even from people who support Palestinians. It's like, let's not, you know, we really need to focus on the fact that the men in Gaza are innocent too. That's right, Raven. Yeah.
Of whom are believed.
Think critically a single time. Yes.
And children.
Yes, the demonization of Palestinian men is horrific.
7,000 Palestinians are still missing, presumed dead under the rubble.
7,000 still missing. That could be 30,000 people dead. For 1,000 people?
Palestinians in Gaza are subjected to relentless bombing wherever they go.
Oh yeah, we'll be getting to that soon.
Killed in their homes, in places where they
I'm not sure I can show that. I don't think there's any blood on there. I think it's all covered bodies, but still, just want to be sure with the way that Twitch acts nowadays.
Try to find food and water for their families. They have been killed if they failed to evacuate.
It's the population where I live, right?
In the places to which they have fled, and even while they attempted to flee along Israeli-declared safe routes. The level of killing is so extensive that those whose bodies are found are buried in mass graves, often unidentified. In the first 3 weeks alone, following 7 October, Israel deployed 6,000 bombs per week. At least 200 times it has deployed 2,000-pound bombs in southern areas of Palestine.
My entire town just disappeared, right?
As safe.
Can you imagine?
These bombs have also decimated the north, including refugee camps. 2,000-pound bombs are some of the biggest and most destructive bombs available. They are dropped by lethal fighter jets that are used to strike targets on the ground by one of the world's most resourced armies. Israel has killed an unparalleled and unprecedented number of civilians. with the full knowledge of how many civilian lives each bomb will take. More than 1,800 families, Palestinian families in Gaza, have lost multiple family members, and hundreds of multi-generational families
The grief
have
is
been wiped out, with no remaining survivors.
absolutely like impossible to imagine.
Fathers, children, siblings, grandparents, aunts, cousins, often all killed together. This killing is nothing short of destruction of Palestinian life. It is inflicted deliberately. No one is spared, not even newborn babies. The scale of Palestinian child killings in Gaza is such that UN chiefs have described it as a graveyard for children. The devastation...
Oh, hey, Lily, welcome to the YouTube chat as well. Yeah, Graeber has a piece on the dehumanization of military-aged male trope.
To Gaza,
Well, Graeber was very based, wasn't he?
legal, let alone humane, justification.
Yeah, she's right. Yeah, it's just so
The second
far beyond anything.
genocidal act identified in South Africa's application is Israel's infliction of serious bodily or mental harm to Palestinians in Gaza in violation of Article 2B of the Genocide Convention. Israel's attacks have left close to 60,000
Yeah, that's right,
Palestinians
TTK, yeah.
wounded and maimed. Again, the majority of them women and children. This in circumstances where the healthcare system...
That's right, Rat Acid, yeah.
I'll return to this later in my speech. Large numbers of Palestinian civilians, including children, are arrested, blindfolded, forced to undress, and loaded onto trucks taken to unknown locations.
To put it in perspective, Gaza is smaller than Nagasaki, and two Nagasaki nukes have been dropped on Gaza since October the 7th. Yeah, the equivalent of two Hiroshima and two Nagasaki nukes have been dropped on Gaza since October 7th. Yeah, it's I can't remember the actual like pound for pound bombing stuff, but it's also been compared to like the amount of bombs that Germany dropped on London in the Blitz in World War II. I think it was something like more. And I think this was in December. In December, people were saying they've dropped more bombs than Germany dropped in the Blitz. I'm actually, I actually hold my hands up here because what I'm just realizing is that I was wrong in my assessment of what was going to happen in the courts here. None of the Israeli officials are wearing the Holocaust stars. So I hold my hands up. I was wrong. That's not actually what's going on here. They all do appear to be wearing, actually, some yellow ribbons, and I don't know what they are. Does anyone know what they are? These little lapel badges that they have? I don't know what they are. Henry says, any thoughts on Corbyn joining in the ICJ proceedings? I mean, not really. I don't really know what capacity he's joining in. There's a lot of talk about Jeremy Corbyn in the UK at the minute. People are like, there seems to be like a rumor that he's gonna make a new political party and stuff like that. And I have my own thoughts on that. I think, that they actually, I think people are really, really electoral politics brained still. And I understand that. I don't think, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with that. But I do think that, we are putting a lot of faith in electoral politics still. I don't think that voting for Jeremy Corbyn has any amount of liberation attached to it. I do think it would help people if he decided to create a political party. I do think people would probably in their droves go to support Labour. His version of Labour, rather than Keith Starmer's version of Labour. There may even be some defections from Labour itself. But in regard to his capacity in joining the International Court of Justice proceedings, I don't know. I don't know what he has to offer. He's not a judge. He might be a witness. Because I know he's been to Gaza. I know he's been to Palestine. That's for sure. In his time as a politician / activist. etc. He's like spoken. I believe he even spoke with Yasser Arafat back in the day. I'm can't be certain. But yeah, maybe it could have some kind of impact. But I just have a feeling that all it would do is it would just like, you know, there'd just be another round of people calling him anti-Semitic in the media, and I think it would probably drive him insane, actually. I think that's probably what would happen. Husker says the yellow ribbon is something Zionists have started wearing to signify they care about the hostages. Oh, well, that's not true, is it? Italian officials yelled at Ethiopian ones before World War II because the Ethiopian officials speaking out against their genocide, right? The yellow ribbon means it's okay to drop 2,000-pound bombs where the hostages are held, right? Hey, one who reads, how's it going? Yeah. Ribbons are a callback to something from 2008, and Husker said it's hoped to see some hostages returned or some shit. He's at least always been firmly on the side of Palestinians. He's been in politics a long time, so potentially a witness. Yeah, could be. Could be. Anti-electoral action, that's right, Lily, yeah.
The suffering of the Palestinian people, physical and mental.
To be clear, if Jeremy Corbyn, like, you know, made a political party, I would probably vote for it. He's the only person that I think I would vote for at the minute. I was considering voting for the Greens this year if we have a general election, because they're like the closest to any kind of like non-reformist reforms that are taking place in Parliament. You know, the Conservatives offered a non-reformist reform, which was the abolition of Section 21, but they've consistently lied about it and they've not, done that. So, yeah, I'd probably vote for the Greens. But if Corbs was going to make a new party, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would vote for it. Hey, Blue Vixen, what's good? Yeah, we're getting this done. Did the England Greens fix their transphobia shit? They still got like some people in the party who are transphobic, but I mean, like it's measurably a lot less than people in establishment parties. You know. Hey, Middle-earth Marxists, how's it going? Are the UK Greens even cool enough to shoplift? I don't know. Probably not. When I engage in electoral politics, like, to be clear, like, it's not in support of any kind of like particular politician. It's whether or not they have any non-reformist reforms, also known as abolitionist reforms. And the Greens do have like a lot of that in what was it? Oh God. I'm pretty sure they want to abolish the House of Lords. I'm pretty sure that's like a thing they want to do, and they want to reform democracy. I can't remember, but I'd have to look at it before the election. I don't want to think about that shit yet, you know?
Turning to
he could call it actual labor. Yeah, it'd be funny, that, wouldn't it?
Article 2C. Israel has deliberately imposed conditions on Gaza that cannot sustain life and are calculated.
A bunch of transphobes did leave the last I heard. Oh, okay.
Israel achieves
it sucks rat acid,
in at least 4 ways. First, by displacement.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Chloe B. Yeah, during the entirety of World War II, Germany dropped 30,000 tons of bombs on all of the UK. Israel has dropped 65,000 tons of bombs on the Gaza Strip, which is like an area the size of, 25 miles long? It's like an area the size of Manchester. That's like thin as fuck. It's so unprecedented in terms of like the amount of hardware that has been used. And I do want to also like, say what I said on Red Planet again here today, which is that like the amount of Israeli soldiers that are dying because they're simply not trained to do actual combat. The IOF is trained to oppress civilians and kill children. Like, that's what they're trained to do. So they've gone into Gaza and they've like encountered guerrilla Hamas resistance and PFLP resistance, Palestinian resistance in general. These people are doing like 360 no-scopes, planting RPG grenades on a tank, running up to a tank with an RPG grenade, hitting it, going back to a fucking, safe distance and hitting it with another RPG shot. And these RPGs are like held together with fucking duct tape. It's insane. Yeah, they're using like fucking M1 Garans and they're killing like 3 Israeli soldiers a day. And that's from the official numbers, which are obviously going to downplay that shit. Century-old weapons. So, you know, that's something to consider as to why they've used so much, you know, long-range bombing. Because their military are simply not trained for actual military combat, which is a bit of a joke, really. It's a bit embarrassing.
Israel has forced the displacement of about 85% of Palestinians in Gaza.
Yeah.
There is nowhere safe for them to flee to. Those who cannot leave or refuse to be displaced have either been killed or at extreme risk of being killed in their homes. Many Palestinians have been displaced multiple times as families are forced to move repeatedly in search of safety. Israel's first evacuation order on 13 October required the evacuation of over 1 million people.
I know, it's actually kind of funny, isn't it, TTK?
Children, the elderly, the wounded, and infirm.
Yeah, real-life Metal Gear Solid shit, yeah.
Were required to evacuate even newborn babies in intensive care. The order required them to evacuate the north to the south within 24 hours. The order itself was genocidal. It required immediate movement, taking only what could be carried, while no humanitarian assistance was permitted, and fuel, water, and food, and other necessities of life had deliberately been cut off. It was clearly calculated to bring about...
You know, I do also... I'm sorry for pausing us so much. You know I'm a fucking pausing Andy over here, but, like, I really want people to think just materially about how this highlights the white supremacist nature of our imperial core, yeah? Because if we're talking about... Like, you could compare this to Ukraine so easily, yeah? You could be like, yo, check Ukraine, right? In Ukraine, Russia was doing all this kind of shit. Definitely not as much of it, and not for as long, because it's like, you know, a sort of concentrated military campaign. Not like 75 years of ethnic cleansing or whatever. But if you want to, like, isolate, like, this, you know, particular situation and the war in Ukraine at the start of 2023, or was it the start of 2022? I can't remember. It's been going on for a while now. 2023, 2022, can't remember quite. But, like, if you want to compare the two, yeah, you know, countries are like saying, can you take in, start of 2022, can you take in Ukrainian refugees? Oh my God, we need to give loads of military aid to Ukraine to defend itself. Oh my God, we need to support everything. Oh my God, look at all this horrible stuff that's happening, right? It's not even a fraction of what Israel is doing to Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank, where there is no Hamas still, by the way. I'm sure that South Africa is going to mention that. You know, and it's so clear. Like, even if you look at what's going on in the courtroom, there is one side, yeah, where, yeah, there's some white people, but generally speaking, there's like fucking, you know, a bunch of basically black people, racialized people who are standing up for another racialized country, yeah? And they're like, on the other side is a bunch of white people. It just paints it so clear as day what's fucking happening here, you know? Hey, Gamago, what's up? Hey, Panda. The Israeli army is so widely considered one of the best trained military in the world. They often help train military and police around the imperial core. Them being embarrassed like this is wild. Yeah, it really is. It really, really is. You know?
The destruction of the population. For many Palestinians, the forced evacuation from their homes is inevitably permanent. Israel has now damaged or destroyed an estimated 355,000 Palestinian homes, leaving at least 500,000 Palestinians with no home to return to. The Special Rapporteur on the Human Rights of Internally Displaced Persons explains that houses and infrastructure, I quote, have been razed to the ground, frustrating any realistic prospects for displaced Gazans to return home, repeating a long history of mass forced displacement of Palestinians by Israel. There is no indication at all that Israel accepts responsibility for rebuilding what it has destroyed. Instead, the destruction is celebrated by the Israeli army.
Yeah, constantly, all the time.
Film themselves joyfully detonating entire apartment blocks and town squares, erecting the Israeli flag over the wreckage, seeking to re-establish Israeli settlements on the rubble of Palestinian homes.
Yeah.
And thus extinguishing the very basis of Palestinian life in Gaza. Second.
Sorry, as a German, I forgot to condemn Hamas. Consider this me condemning Hamas. We found the one good German leftist. I'm joking, there's lots of good German leftists in my community, but yeah, we found the one good German leftist. Nice of her to point to the flag, right, yeah. That's one of the Beeb's coverage things that really gets me. Within minutes of sympathetic coverage of Ukrainians, it's straight to, well, this hospital in Gaza should maybe had a Hamas visit once. So, yeah, it's just so ridiculous. Oh, no, I know, Gamago. Yeah, it's like, look, you know, I don't... We're gonna see some stuff because Germany is now supporting Israel in its international court defense. And it's such a joke, right? It's such a fucking joke. Germany that is like arguably still not reckoned with its own genocide. You know, still not like a lot of fucking Nazi leaders and people who perpetrated the genocide, the Holocaust of Jews, queer people, GRT people, communists in the Second World War. They have not prosecuted or they didn't do anything to the people who orchestrated that fucking genocide. It's completely absurd. Yeah, Namibians as well, like the genocide that Germans did in Africa. Like, you know, the more and more that you hear about this stuff, all over Africa, colonized countries in Africa were just being fucking destroyed by Germany back in the day. You know, it's just such a joke that, like, you know, Germany wants to like sit there and be like, yes, it's time for us to weigh in. Yeah, it's headed to a culture of shame and unconditional support for Israel. Yeah, it's absolutely wild to see. I spoke about this on Red Planet last night. I'm doing a lot of repeating, but I think it's important for people who didn't come, back to who didn't come to the Red Planet stream last night, who are here today, like. But it's absolutely wild to see anti-fascist organizations who have the anti-fascist insignia on their like branding and shit like that, and they also say we support Israel, we stand with Israel. You know, I genuinely doubt the ability for you to assess what is and isn't fascist if you're claiming that we should support Israel in its ethnic cleansing. Do you know what I mean? I thought Germany did support the Nuremberg trial of Nazi leaders. Germany was the one that was on trial. You know? It's arguable that they didn't and they still don't. You know? There were some figureheads who were trialed, and there were lots of people who got away with it and were then appointed to positions of leadership in various places in occupied Germany at the time after the war. So, but that's another matter for another time. Hey, Pat Potato, good to see you.
Israel's conduct has been deliberately calculated to cause widespread hunger, dehydration, and starvation.
Yeah, people were put into chancellor positions. Yeah,
has pushed Gazans
completely insane.
An unprecedented 93% of the population in
Well, that's the justification, isn't it, Dr. Doctor?
Levels of hunger. Of all the people in the world currently suffering catastrophic hunger, more than 80% are in Gaza.
Operation Paperclip, yeah, you got that too. So much to it, you know?
Experts are now predicting that more Palestinians in Gaza may die from starvation and disease than airstrikes. And yet Israel continues to impede the effective delivery of humanitarian assistance to Palestinians. not only refusing to allow sufficient aid in, but removing the ability to distribute it through constant bombardment and obstruction. Just 3 days ago,
Oh, my fucking shoulder.
a planned mission by UN agencies to deliver
that feels good.
urgent medical
I've just fucking
supplies
popped something out of my shoulder. Oh, the relief.
to a hospital
Oh my God.
and medical supply center
Oh.
was denied.
24 were tried and 5 either had no decision made or were acquitted, yeah.
This marked the 5th denial.
Not to mention,
of
like,
admission to the center
the other, like,
since
100 that just got away with it.
leaving 5 hospitals in northern Gaza
Thanks, Johnny.
without access to life-saving medical supplies and equipment. Aid trucks that are allowed in are seized upon by the hungry. What is provided is simply not enough. Madam President, members of the court, this is an image of an aid truck arriving in Gaza. Third, Israel has deliberately inflicted conditions in which Palestinians in Gaza are denied adequate shelter, clothes, or sanitation. For weeks, there have been acute shortages.
Guards like Goering, Epstein himself, that's true.
Critical non-food items. Clean water is all but gone, leaving far below the amount required to safely drink, clean, and cook. Accordingly, the WHO has stated that Gaza is experiencing soaring rates of infectious disease outbreaks.
Journalists reporting on that looting was insane. Oh yeah, I agree.
Children under 5 years of age have increased 2,000 per
Like, you know, like, if you wanted to, which they clearly did, you could spin those images into saying, like, look at how completely awful and savage these people are. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. But of course, implying that people are savage is an inherently white supremacist idea, isn't it? You know what I mean? So, like, they would say that, wouldn't they? These white supremacist news outlets that want to spin Palestinians desperate for hunger, trying to get like how the fuck do you think British people would act? Like, I always come back to this, innit? Like, how the fuck do you think British people would act if they were under the same conditions in Gaza and a food truck was allowed in? They would be killing each other. You want to talk about, like, you know, attacking the food truck or whatever? They weren't, for a start, they weren't even attacking it. They were just, like, on it. You know what I mean? Like, desperate for a scran, innit? Desperate. And, you know, British people would literally be fighting each other. They would literally be punching each other. Do you know what I mean? No, there would be no stiff upper lip. The stiff upper lip is a fucking load of shit. The stiff upper lip, yeah, that like bigots and reactionaries in the UK like to try and, like, invoke, is something that was only ever practiced by, like, people in World War II, where, like, they were trying desperately to, you know, not lose their minds under the rationing and the bombing and all that kind of stuff in the Blitz. You know, stiff upper lip is something that was afforded to people. Well, not afforded to people. It was, like, something that, like, actual, you know, people in Britain at the time of, like, suffering and war were doing. It's not something that, like, fucking bigots in Britain ever exercise. I fucking wish that bigots in Britain had the stiff upper lip, because then they'd fucking shut up. Do you know what I mean? Yes, that's right, Gamago. Yeah, absolutely. People in the US fucking riot over American football games. Yes, they do, don't they? So there you go. Americans on Black Friday, right? You know?
% since hostilities began. When combined and left untreated, malnutrition and disease create a deadly cycle. The fourth genocidal act under Article 2B is Israel's military assault on Gaza's healthcare system, which renders life unsustainable. Even by 7 December,
that's right, Mr. Dank,
the UN Special Rapporteur on the right to health noted that the healthcare infrastructure in the Gaza Strip has been completely obliterated.
completely obliterated.
Wounded by Israel in Gaza are being deprived of life-saving medical care. Gaza's healthcare system,
Yeah, that's what they say, isn't it? One who reads.
by years of blockade and prior attacks by Israel, is unable to cope.
Make some beans. Enjoy it, Chloe. Joel.
Finally, the UN Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women and Girls has pointed to acts committed by Israel that would fall under the fourth category of genocidal acts in Article 2D of the Convention. On 22 November, she expressly warned the following: the reproductive violence inflicted by Israel on Palestinian women, newborn babies, infants, and children could be qualified as acts of genocide under Article 2 of the Genocide Convention, including imposing measures intended to prevent births within a group.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Israel is blocking the delivery of life-saving aid, including essential medical kits for delivering babies, in circumstances where an estimated 180 women are giving birth in Gaza each day. Of these 180 women,
That's right, Mr. Dank, yeah.
WHO warns that 50%
That's right, Blue Vixen, yep.
are likely to experience pregnancy or birth-related complications and need additional medical care. That care is simply not available. In sum, Madam President, all of these acts, individually and collectively, form a calculated pattern of conduct by Israel, indicating a genocidal intent. This intent is evident from Israel's conduct.
Oh my God, Valerie, that's fucked.
Specially targeting Palestinians living in Gaza, using weaponry that causes large-scale homicidal destruction, as well as targeted sniping of civilians, designating safe zones for Palestinians to seek refuge, and then bombing these, depriving Palestinians in Gaza of basic needs: food, water, healthcare, fuel, sanitation, and communications, destroying social infrastructure, homes, schools, mosques, churches, hospitals, and killing, seriously injuring, and leaving large numbers of children orphaned. Genocides are never declared in advance. But this court has the benefit of the past 13 weeks of evidence that shows incontrovertibly.
Hey, Soul Bunny, what's going on? Good to see you.
And related intention.
Can you do shout outs in YouTube? How do you do that?
Claim of genocidal acts. In the Gambia-Myanmar case, this court did not hesitate to impose provisional measures in relation to allegations.
Everybody go follow Soul Bunny, she's great.
Was committing genocidal acts against the Rohingya
Fighter jet!
within the Rakhine state. The facts before the court today are sadly,
Thanks so much for the 57 months. How you doing? Good to see you.
and like the Gambia-Myanmar case, deserve and demand this court's intervention. Every day, there is mounting irreparable loss of life, property, dignity, and humanity for the Palestinian people. Our news feeds show
That's right, Rat Acid, yeah.
suffering that has become unbearable to watch.
Oh yeah, it really has.
Nothing will stop the suffering.
Like I think I do just want to because on Red Planet I got quite tearful when we did the sort of concentrated episode on what's going on in Gaza and Palestine in general, and I was telling people like not to look away and shit like that. But I do just want to clarify that actually we are watching a genocide happen in real time, and there's nothing wrong with, if you have been, doing your best to like document it, report it, share it, tell everyone that you know, etc., and not like turn a blind eye to it and like, you know, never speak about it and shit. Then you are allowed to like stop looking at it if it's getting too much for you, by the way. Like, you are allowed. You know, what Palestine and what Palestinians need are strong comrades to advocate for themselves. You know what I mean? So, like, incredibly important for you to, like, actually, you know, give some time for yourself if you are struggling to see this stuff. Because it is, like I was saying before, like, the trying to understand, like, you know, I've seen these men, like, weep holding their, like, obliterated children's body parts in their arms, and it's like, how do you even reckon? How do you even begin to understand how that feels? You can see and you can empathize with that to a certain degree, but like, you know, at a certain point, you have to turn that into action, because you can't just like sit there punishing yourself, you know, with that stuff. You know, difference between preserving your privileged comfort and preserving your capacity to function. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, this is the hearing for Palestine. Yeah, it's the South African genocide charge against Israel. Yeah, so we're just reacting to that. Yeah, that's right, Acid. Yeah.
Without an indication of provisional measures, the atrocities will continue, with the Israeli Defense Force indicating that it intends pursuing this course of action for at least a year. In the words of the UN Under-Secretary General on 5 January 2024, I quote, "You think getting aid into Gaza is easy? Think again. 3 layers of inspections before trucks can even enter. Confusion and long queues. A growing list of rejected items. A crossing point meant for pedestrians, not trucks. Another crossing point where trucks have been blocked by desperate, hungry communities. A destroyed commercial sector. Constant bombardments.
Yeah, that's right, one who reads, yeah.
Damaged roads. Convoys shot at. Delays at checkpoints. A traumatized and exhausted population crammed into a smaller and smaller sliver of land. Shelters which have long exceeded their full capacity. Aid workers themselves displaced, killed. This is an impossible situation for the people of Gaza and for those trying to help them. The fighting must stop." Close quote. Madam President, members of the court, that concludes my section on the genocidal conduct of Israel.
It was pretty good.
I thank you for your patient attention.
You know, like, there are some criticisms of people, like, saying, you know, there's not enough mentioned in there and but, like, I think what you have to remember is that the court will only hear, like, a certain amount of stuff in initial hearing, you know what I mean? So, I think that was pretty fucking solid. Genuinely. You know what I mean? Stay hydrated. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah. Gotta stay hydrated, folks. Honestly, yeah. Yeah, this is the opening of the case. Like, I have a feeling the details of the case as it goes forward is going to be, like, incredibly, like, detailed. Hopefully it will be enough. Well, it's going forward, isn't it? I think they're going to the actual, like, trial and defense, right? Israel has already attempted some kind of defense, but it's like so paper thin, it's hilarious. I don't know if I'm even gonna watch the Israeli side of things, because I know what they're gonna say. I've seen that one guy where he's like, "Oh, someone shuffled my papers," you know. Apparently, these judges rather represent judicial traditions and their nation's interests. If you consider Palestine a state, depends on where you studied international law, says Dr. Alonso Gomendi. Well, yeah, obviously. Like, I think that's how they're supposed to remain impartial. But it remains to be seen, right? It was me. I did it. I fucked up all his papers. Yeah, pretty base, to be honest. Pretty funny. Cool prank that you did there, Valerie. Anyway, let's carry on and listen to some more.
You call Advocate Mukatobi to the podium to address the court on genocide.
Oh, no, Doctor, yeah, you're right. Nothing will come of it in terms of, like, immediate action. I think everybody, like, has to know that is the case, right? I think we all have to, we can't be under any impression that this is going to, like, change anything on the immediate time. Israel's getting more time on the liberal outlets, and Palestinian isn't. The Palestinian side isn't. I think what it will do is it will, like, I think this is going to elevate this to a place that the support for, like, South African liberation from apartheid is going to get to, where that was back in the 80s, like, sort of, like, bubbling up to, like, because that's kind of what we're seeing. It's on the trajectory of that, like, I've said this on the street, I said it last week, I've said it on Red Planet Loads, but I've never in, like, the 10 or 11 or 12 years, however long it's been since I've, like, heard about the atrocities committed against Palestinian people and, like, understood it for what it is, as a genocide and attempted genocide and apartheid and stuff like that. I've never seen this many people support the liberation of Palestine, or at the very least calling for a ceasefire. I've not seen anything like it before in my life. There are people who are coming to protests, they're coming to marches, they're speaking to us in the queer bloc, and they're learning stuff about Israel that they didn't even know before. You know what I mean? They're learning stuff about Zionism as, like, an ideology that they never knew before, and all this kind of stuff, and they're becoming, like, radicalized. So that in itself is hopeful, but in terms of, like, what the international court can do, if the ICJ rules in SA favor, then even if it gets vetoed by the US, say, in the Security Council, there are national laws against genocide that prohibit aid and trade. Yeah, but then the thing is that Israel is going to ignore those. It's already said that it will ignore those. Like, Benjamin Netanyahu has literally said, we're not going to take any consideration about that, actually. We're not going to listen to it at all, actually. So that's kind of like an indication as to what Israel thinks of international law. The UK and France can't, and Germany can't. I would argue that they could. I would argue that they genuinely could, and then maybe there would be, like, some kind of new Brexit initiated by reactionary Tories in the UK, which is not necessarily Brexit, but it's like an exit from the United Nations. Like another Brexit 2, Electric Boogaloo. I'm not sure how much support that one would actually have amongst, like, if there was a referendum. But I don't know. It's one of those. Like, I wouldn't put it past. Please don't curse me with that thought. We have to literally, like, consider these things because they're possible. They're actually possible. So there you go. Back with beans. Chloe, unknowingly making a statement that actually, that's what, like, some of the people would say when we did UN exit, isn't it? They would be like, back with beans, more flavorless food. That's what the Brits would be saying. I don't know, there's a joke in there somewhere, but whatever. Faye just inspired me with that. Welcome back. Hey, Solar Juice, good to see you. Welcome in. Yeah, Unksit. That's what it is. Yeah, vote Starmer no matter who, literally, yeah. Anyway, England would leave, America would just start bombing shit. Yeah, America wouldn't even leave. They would just be like, we're in charge of the UN, we're in charge of the Security Council, we don't give a fuck, we're going to keep bombing Yemen, we're going to keep bombing everywhere,
Idle intent.
Isn't it upsetting, everyone, to find out that all the things that we thought that we were lied to about, it's all a scam, actually? It's all a scam. Hasn't Britain sanctioned itself enough already? Yeah. That's why I made refried beans that has flavour, unlike British beans. Yeah, that's true.
The court. You have the floor, sir.
Well, funnily enough, British baked beans aren't even actually British, are they? Because they're Heinz. So they were made in Germany. So even that isn't British, which is actually like one of the biggest kind of jokes about British food, just in general, you know? Excuse me. Just like the king! That's right.
Madam President.
He was also invented in Germany.
Members of the court.
No, he made in Germany. It's American. That's right. That's right.
Before the court on behalf of South Africa.
Completely blowing my mind with his bean facts. Sorry, Raven.
At this stage, the court is not required to determine that the only inference to be drawn from the available evidence is genocidal, to order provisional measures, as that is to decide the merits. Rather, the assessment of the existence of an intent to destroy could be made by the court only at the stage of the examination of the merits.
Yeah, it's fucked in it when he reads.
Some of the alleged acts may also amount to atrocities other than genocide does not exclude the finding of plausible acts of genocide. Madam President, South Africa is not alone in drawing attention to Israel's genocidal rhetoric against Palestinians in Gaza. 15 United Nations special rapporteurs and 21 members of the United Nations working groups have warned that what is happening in Gaza reflects a genocide.
Beans, Stephosaurus says.
And an
Hey, Fraser, thanks for the lurk.
to destroy the Palestinian people under occupation. Israel has a genocidal intent against the Palestinians in Gaza. That is evident from the way in which Israel's military attack is being conducted, which has been described by Ms. Hassim SC. It is systematic in its character and form. The mass displacement of the population of Gaza, headed into areas where they continue to be killed, and the deliberate creation of conditions that, quote, lead to a slow death, unquote. There is also the clear pattern of conduct, the targeting of family homes and civilian infrastructure, laying waste to vast areas of Gaza, and the bombing, shelling, and sniping of men, women, and children where they stand, the destruction of the health infrastructure, and lack of access to humanitarian assistance. So much so that as we stand today, 1% of the Palestinian population in Gaza has been systematically decimated. And 1 in 4 Gazans have been injured since 7 October.
1 in 4 is like 500,000 people. 2 million people in Gaza. And, yeah, 500,000 people. It's just beyond even thinking about. It's like that's how widespread, like it's almost impossible to try and imagine that amount of people. Like when you look at like, okay, let's do a thought exercise, chat. Well, it's not really a thought exercise. Let's just do a little something, yeah? So 30,000 capacity stadium full, yeah. Let's see if we can find an image for this. So it would be like a football stadium. Okay. All right. Okay. It's hard to see this. How to actually find the following is a list of stadiums in the United Kingdom with capacity of 5,000 or more. What stadium has 30,000 people? Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia in 1929. Wait, what? It's like half a huge stadium. 30,000 seats. It's like 5 full Michigan stadiums. I'm trying to find a way that we can visualize this. Google is so shit for stuff like this nowadays. No, I'm thinking 30,000 people. 30,000 people. Sorry if I've been saying... Okay, so the Emirates football ground, which is in the UK... Oh, no, it's not. Arsenal in the UK. It is in the UK. I meant Manchester, but it's not in Manchester. So the Emirates. So Emirates Stadium full. Okay, so it's like half of the people in this. Let me try and show you this. Okay, half of the people here are basically confirmed dead, right? That's what it would be like. So just trying to imagine that is so like, you know, every single one of these people. Like, if you even started to like try and count them. You know, and be like, okay, well, each one of them is going to have like dreams, you know, hopes, families, etc., etc., etc. This kind of stuff, you know. 6.7 Old Traffords, right? Yeah, this is like one of the bigger football stadiums, Arsenal Stadium, the Emirates Stadium, right? And so half of these, this stadium's capacity is 60,000. So it's hard to even imagine. Yeah. 30%. Sorry, 30,000 people. So divide that by 3. So a third of this. Yeah. I don't even know what a third would be. Like from here to here. A third of the half of it. I fucking hate numbers so much. I've got dyscalculia, by the way, in case anybody on YouTube chat doesn't know. Or in Twitch chat for that matter. So like a third of the half, it would be like from here to here, and then 10% of that. So like that many people or something is like 1,000. That's how many people died. That's how many Israelis died on October 7th, right? And so in retaliation, they took out the fucking rest of the half of that stadium. Do you know what I mean? Just trying to visualize it is like completely fucking fucked. Just even thinking about it. Anyway, there you go. Just wanted to sort of do that with everyone so we could, you know, thinking about it. No, that was counting the missing. That was, because the 30,000 includes the missing people that are obviously presumed dead. You know?
These two elements alone are capable of evidencing Israel's genocidal intent.
No, it's okay.
In relation to the whole or part of the Palestinian population.
You've seen it on Twitch as well, GD. Gotcha.
However, third, there is an extraordinary feature in this case, that Israel's political leaders, military commanders, and persons holding official positions have systematically and in explicit terms declared their genocidal intent. And these statements are then repeated by soldiers on the ground in Gaza as they engage in the destruction of Palestinians and the physical infrastructure of Gaza. We show this third element next. Israel's special genocidal intent is rooted in the belief that, in fact, the enemy is not just the military wing of Hamas, or indeed...
Right, Chloe, yes.
But is
Chloe makes it far easier for everybody to understand. Had a few classes, had 31 people in it back when I was in high school. It'd be like if one of those students were killed, so the teacher murdered the other 30 kids in retaliation. Yeah, literally. Literally.
Embedded in the fabric of Palestinian life in Gaza. On 7 October, in a televised address, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared war on Gaza, and I quote, Israel had started clearing out the communities that have been infiltrated by terrorists. And he warned of an unprecedented price to be paid by the enemy. There are more than 2.3 million Palestinians in Gaza. Israel is the occupying power in control of Gaza. It controls entry, exit, and the internal movements of inside Gaza. And Prime Minister, Mr. Netanyahu exercises overall command over the Israeli Defense Force and, in turn, the Palestinians in Gaza.
It's true.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, in his address to the Israeli forces on 28 October 2023, preparing for the invasion of Gaza, urged the soldiers to remember what Amalek has done to you. This refers to the biblical command by God to Saul for the retaliatory destruction of an entire group of people known as the Amalekites, put to death men and women, children and infants, cattle and sheep, camels and donkeys. The genocidal invocation to Amalek was anything but idle. It was
we read the pages of statements of the intent. We read them on stream last week. We read the PDF. Yeah.
Repeated by Mr. Netanyahu in a letter to the Israeli Armed Forces on 3 November 2023. Madam President, let the Prime Minister's words speak for themselves.
Yeah, that's right, Chloe.
Has done to you, says our Holy Bible, and we do remember, and we are fighting our brave troops and combatants who are now in Gaza or around Gaza and
very cool technical difficulties at the International Court of Justice here.
The Deputy Speaker of the Knesset.
Are we just leaving that? We're just leaving that? We're not moving on? Leftist audio happening in the International Court of Justice. Very cool, very normal.
Israel's parliament has called for the erasure of the Gaza Strip from the face of the earth. The Defense Force agrees. On 9 October, the Defense Minister, Yoav Gallant, gave a situation update to the army, where he said that as Israel was imposing a complete siege on Gaza, there would be no electricity, no food, no water, no fuel.
So the Israeli government spokesperson, I referred to him as the ambassador, the Israeli British ambassador, and I was wrong about that on Red Planet last night, but it's the spokesperson, Israeli government spokesperson, Eylon Levy, particularly about this one thing, the Amalek reference. So let's take a little look and see, how this was handled by that spokesperson, and also by the interviewer Krishnan Guru Murthy, who I got to give a little bit of props to in this one bit.
You're calling these people journalists, but these were two terror operatives who were operating a drone in a war zone. We know that one of the individuals was a member of Hamas's Gaza City Brigade, in fact a deputy squad commander. The other one was an Islamic Jihad operative who worked for its electronic engineering corps. Now, we've not only said that, we've also released intelligence.
You have only said that. I mean, this is your word, and Al Jazeera denied.
Oh no, this is about, sorry, 2 journalists killed in Gaza were terror operatives. I don't want this clip. I want this, do they have the clip on TikTok of when they were questioning, of him questioning the fucking, whatchamacallit? Well, they got an interview with Andy Burnham on here. I'm getting distracted. Houthis in Yemen. This was clearly like last week, right? Need that Krishnan Guru Murthy. Hey, Riff Cleus, what's up? Good to see you. Channel 4 is doing a lot of like interesting reporting at the minute. Where is this? Did they not get the clip of this on TikTok? Where did I see it? Maybe it was on Middle East Eye. Let me check Middle East Eye real quick. Let me play the rest of this while I look for this.
Because Israel is fighting human animals. Speaking to troops on the Gaza border, he instructed them that he has released all the restraints and that Gaza won't return to what it was before. We will eliminate...
Well, Christian is doing penance for all the times that he questioned Jeremy Corbyn for being quote-unquote anti-Semitic in his criticisms of Israel. So he's doing penance for that. That's how I'm choosing to see this. But yeah, I'll show you the clip if I find it in a sec.
I think we will reach all places, eliminate everything, reach all places without any restraints. The theme of destruction of human animals was reiterated by an Israeli army coordinator of government activities in the territories on 9 October 2023, who, in an address to Hamas and the residents of Gaza, stated that Hamas has become ISIS and that the citizens of Gaza are celebrating instead of being horrified. He concluded that human animals are dealt with...
Hi, Riff Cleus. We're reacting to the International Court of Justice's hearing for South Africa levelling accusations of genocide against Israel.
On Gaza, no electricity, no water, just damage. You wanted hell, you will get hell. The language of systematic dehumanization is evident here. Human animals, both Hamas and civilians, are condemned.
Hey Adam, what's going on?
This is also a widely held view.
Yeah, I agree, Ori. Yeah.
The Minister of Energy and Infrastructure, Israel Katz, called for the denial of water and fuel, as this is what will happen to a people of children killers and slaughterers. This admits of no ambiguity. It means to create conditions of death of the Palestinian people in Gaza. To die a slow death because of starvation and dehydration, or to die quickly because of a bomb attack or snipers, but to die nevertheless. In fact, Heritage Minister Amichai Eliyahu said that Israel must find ways for Gazans that are more painful than death. It is no answer to say that neither are in command of the army. They are ministers in the Israeli government. They vote in...
Anyone was positively surprised? Oh, nice. Good to hear it.
...to shape state policy.
That's what I'm trying to find. That's what I'm trying to find in reference to... that's what Elon Levy and Krishnan Guru Murthy were, like, arguing about, basically, in this interview that I'm trying to find.
Gaza has been nurtured at the highest levels of state, as President Isaac Herzog has joined the ranks of those signing bombs destined for Gaza. Having previously noted that the entire population in Gaza is responsible and that this rhetoric about civilians not aware, not involved is absolutely not true, we will fight until we break their backbone. Later attempts by the President and others to neutralize this speech have not altered the sting of his words, which was to tar all Palestinians as responsible for the actions of Hamas. Nor, as I will show below, has it affected how state policy is understood within government. The Minister of National Security repeated the President's statements that Hamas and civilians are responsible in equal measure. On 10 November 2023, in a televised interview, he stated that when we say that Hamas should be destroyed, it also means those who celebrate, those who support, and those who hand out candy. They are all terrorists, and they should also be destroyed.
Okay, chat, I found it. I finally fucking found it. This is exactly what I was looking for. This is literally like... a day ago, IJAC, I don't know what this is. America, Israel, Jewish something? I don't know. And the way that they're using this like Channel 4 News thing to be like, South Africa has cheapened the memory of the Holocaust by accusing Israel of genocide. It's just so sickening. I'm so done with this shit. But check out Krishnan Guru Murthy here. He's gonna be questioning about the invocation of the biblical reference of Amalek.
Prominent yesterday was the invocation of the biblical reference of Amalek and the sort of the massacre that followed. I mean, why did Mr. Netanyahu invoke such a violent biblical tale?
Because
if not to prompt a genocide?
No, we are committed to destroying Hamas. We are committed to destroying the monsters who perpetrated the bloodiest
massacre.
So
why talk about Amalek?
These fuckers are so like... I can't even like watch them anymore. It's like actually sickening. Like I find it so hard, yeah. I find it so hard to actually like listen to them speak and watch them speak, because every single person who advocates for Israel is just like, they're repeating a line, they're reading off a script, at the very least they're like just talking in a brainwashed way, and it's really fucking triggering.
Because it is a very powerful... I don't want to get into biblical exegesis here and start having a theological debate with you, because the Prime Minister knows exactly how that will be understood by the Israeli people, who clearly understand biblical references.
It would mean kill...
Right, so here's the thing. He says it out loud. He admits it, right? So he's like, we talk about it because it's a very powerful...
I don't want to get into biblical exegesis.
I don't actually want to talk about why it's so powerful, but...
Having a theological debate with you, because the Prime Minister knows exactly how that will be understood by the Israeli people.
Because the Prime Minister knows exactly how that will be understood by the Israeli people. So he's admitting it's a dog whistle. It's like he's like saying but the Israeli people know exactly what he means, right? And it's like there's a kind of like thing that's happening here where he's saying only Israelis know what that mean. Yeah? Only Israelis know what that mean, and trying to gaslight everybody into saying, no, it doesn't mean the thing that you think it means. He's admitting it's a dog whistle.
Who clearly understand biblical references.
It would mean kill them all, which is what the Amalek story was about.
All of Hamas, because everyone in Israel understands who the enemy is. We've been very clear.
Yes, as everybody, yeah, it's pretty brazen. As everybody is like admitting and everybody is talking about, everybody in Israel understands that Palestinians as a whole are the enemy. Yeah?
Word and indeed that the Palestinian people are not our enemy, and we hope to live alongside them in peace in a post-Hamas Gaza.
No, you don't.
But we are going
to what happened in the biblical reference? It wasn't a searching for a minority of terrorists. It was killing everybody. And that is what's happening in Gaza.
The Prime Minister was referring to Hamas. The entire Israeli public understood he was referring to Hamas. The only people who don't seem to understand that are the journalists who clearly have less of a grasp of the book of Exodus than the Israeli public and the Prime Minister. We have been very clear.
Yeah, so he's like saying, yeah, journalists who are doing their job are bad and wrong, actually.
In both in word and in deed, the Palestinian people are not our enemy. We're going after Hamas because Hamas told us it wants to perpetrate more October 7th massacres.
Well, this is what...
So why are you killing more Palestinian people? Like that's the question that's on the fucking like docket here. You know what I mean? Yeah, Amalek was about wiping out any and all traces of the enemy's people and their civilization. Yeah, actually, like that's what Krishnan Guru Murthy is like actually trying to press on here, you know what I mean?
You say
it will if we don't. No, this is what
there is a massive gulf between what you say and what you do, because you say you're going after Hamas,
this is not
but you kill civilians.
This is what, Krishnan, I wish we... Krishnan, war is awful. War is awful. We don't want this war.
War is awful. What this is what the USA said, by the way, when they like murdered 1 million Iraqis, yeah? This is literally what the USA were saying when they murdered 1 million Iraqis. They were literally like, war is awful. War is awful. You know? Kaylin.com says, there was a guy like this in one of my sociology classes last semester. Hearing this IRL is one of the most disgusting things I've ever listened to. Yeah, it's fucked. It's fucked. Welcome to the stream, by the way. Yeah, it's just like horrific. Yeah, stop bombing them. If war is awful, stop bombing them. John the Duncan characterized the two-state solution as impossible because Israel is fundamentally a genocidal project that destroys Palestine. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, most liberationists agree with that. Yeah, I agree with it particularly. Yeah, we chose a very specific biblical reference that mean a very specific thing that you don't understand what we mean. Yeah, you can only understand it if you've been swimming in propaganda for as long as the Israeli people. Yeah, it's very, very shit. Yeah. No, yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Like you know, you brought this on yourself, kind of thing. That's literally it. Yeah.
Ask for this war. We didn't expect this war. Hamas declared war on us. Hamas declared war on us with an invasion by air, land, and sea, and we are now fighting that war.
You know, he's trying to like appeal to some kind of emotional. He's trying to express an emotional response, but it comes across so fake. This genuinely comes across so fake and offensive, actually. Do you know what I mean? Like, how dare you? How dare you say that this is really bad and, you know?
And we are fighting a war because we want to end it. But we want to end it in a way that makes sure that Hamas cannot attack us again, as it tells us day and night that it wants to murder us again.
So again, admitting it. Like, he admits it. Look, he admits it. You know, he's saying like, okay, Hamas like, here's the thing. Like, what he's not saying here is that Hamas exists because of a repeated oppression of the, you know, Palestinian people and, you know, funding by, you know, the Israeli government to, like, have a worse enemy that they can justify bombing people with. So, you know, by proxy, not allowing Hamas to reproduce itself, we have to eliminate all Palestinians. Like, he's telling on himself again, you know? Anyway, listen, getting out of this shit. Because it's distracting from the actual like good stuff that's going on. Everybody's getting upset with it, rightfully so. But yeah, we're going back to this. Yeah, please be sad for me and all the killing that we do. You know, yeah. It's just completely absurd. It's completely absurd. You know, yeah, you know, they're saying like, you know, it's a nation state and a nation state declared war. It's just so completely fucked. It's amazing how much of Israel's rhetoric is recycled from war on terror or apartheid South Africa. Yeah. Well, they learned from the best, you know? Well, you know, the best, I'm saying that like derogatorily in terms of like, you know, they were the best at apartheid, the best at imperialism, you know? It's just fucking ridiculous. Yeah, look what they made us do. Exactly, Maxwell, yeah.
And to make
welcome to the stream as well.
Destroyed. These statements are not open to neutral interpretation.
That's right, Riff Cleus, yeah. How silly of me to forget.
Rationalizations and reinterpretations by Israel. The statements were made by persons in command of the state. They communicated state policy. It is simple. If the statements were not intended, they would not have been made.
It's very similar to that, Kaylin, yeah, very similar.
Behind these statements is not ambiguous to the Israeli soldiers on the ground. Indeed, it is directing their actions and objectives. On 7 December 2023, Israeli soldiers proved that they understood the Prime Minister's message to remember what the Amalek has done to you as genocidal. They were recorded by journalists dancing and singing. We know our motto.
Yeah, that's right, Rat Acid, yeah. Lots of Nazi Germany stuff in here, yeah.
To wipe off the seed of Amalek. The Prime Minister's invocation of Amalek is being used by soldiers to justify the killing of civilians, including children. These are the soldiers repeating the inciting words of their Prime Minister.
Just that bit right there, innit? Just that bit right there. It's freakish and terrifying to watch the empire attempt to rectify centuries of persecution by, you know, offsetting that suffering to another group that has not yet been humanized in the public conscious. It's just like, you know, it's all together just vile, right? It's all together just completely vile. The you know, the things that happened to Jewish people over the years should have never happened, and it's disgusting. And at the end of the day, trying to weaponize that to do the same thing to Palestinians, not the same thing, but like very similar things to Palestinians, at least in the sense of like, you know, the apartheid and way that, like, you know, black people were segregated from white people violently and horrifically, and, you know, imprisoned and all that kind of stuff. All the crimes against humanity that have been committed against Palestinians. It's just like the thing that upsets me the most is just how much that psychological trauma is abused by Israel on Jews in the diaspora, right? That's the thing that really upsets me. If I'm going to talk about that in like feeling some kind of like, you know, sadness for the way that Jewish people become Zionists, then I have to talk about that specifically, because that is like, that's psychological abuse, right? That Israel does to Jewish people in order to radicalize them into becoming what they, you know, hate, right? Which is fascists, right? And yeah, that itself is incredibly hard to reckon with as someone with, you know, a Jewish family. Really hard to sort of reckon with. And, you know, I have to kind of like try and take peace with the fact that, like, you know, they've disowned me because they think that what they're doing is right. And they've been told throughout their entire life that that's how they should think about Israel. And I can't, like, do you know what I mean? There's not a lot I can do about that, basically. No. The West is not genuinely interested in rectifying centuries of persecution. Not at all. Not at all. Anyway, let's crack on. I'm just going to go put some rice on, chat. I'll be back.
Israeli soldiers in Gaza were filmed dancing, chanting, and singing in November. May their village burn, may Gaza be erased. There is now a trend among the soldiers to film themselves committing atrocities against civilians in Gaza in a form of snuff video. One recorded himself detonating over 50 houses in Shujaiya. Other soldiers were recorded singing, "We will destroy all of Khan Yunis and this house. We will blow it up for you and for everything you do for us." These are the soldiers putting into effect their command.
שכונת סג'אעיה ז"ל, נחל עוז, בעזרת השם יהיה לכם. גדוד חטיבה 828, אומרת סג'אעיה שלום. מדהים. 30 בתים, גדוד 749.
They're not like shooting people or some shit, are they? I'm just gonna pause. I'm gonna put some tunes on because I don't want to get fucking banned. Because the boy is crying for his dinner. So I'll be back in a tick. Chat, don't forget, look after yourself, have a stretch, you know. We've been here for like 2.5 hours now. Excuse me. Blowing up 30 houses in the distance, yeah, it's fucked up. The boy is here, look, I'll show you. He's been meowing at me, and now he's like, yo, check me out, actually. Look at me, because I'm the boy. Wait. Oh, no, he's gone. Okay, never mind. All right, I'll be back in a sec. Take your meds, chat. He's having a cheeky little bit of tuna. Ooh. Okay, right. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back, me. If you have forgotten for whatever reason, it's unfortunately my duty to, yeah, I've had to put a coat on. It's fucking freezing despite the fucking heating being on. Oh my god, it's absolutely ridiculous. I genuinely can't tell you how cold it is in this gaff. I was worried that I was getting like sick yesterday because of how cold it is. What's the temperature in Manchester? It's -2. How is it -2? Oh my god, it's gonna be like -2 and -3 all week. Why is it that cold? Fuck me. Oh my god, is it gonna get better? Oh, right now it's 1 degree. It's about to hit 0 degrees. It'll hit -1 later. Oh! I don't have an orb to ponder, I'm afraid. Tomorrow it's gonna be -1, 2, 3 degrees most of the day. -1 on Wednesday. -3, 2 degrees at a high on Thursday, Friday, similar. But then Saturday, Sunday, it's getting better. Fucking hell, this is for the week. Christ alive. Still -17 here. Fucking hell. My god. My god. Anyway. That's that. Listen, it is my duty, unfortunately, to remind you that it is my full-time job to do this here on Twitch. It's where I make the most of my money. So please, please, please consider subbing off Twitch. You could do that with the command in the chat that I've just put in both chats. So please consider subbing off Twitch, subbing off YouTube. Thank you for the follow, really appreciate that. Like I said, it's my full-time job, so it means that I can help. You can help me pay my bills, my rent, do my food shopping, get groceries, stuff like that. And of course, little treats for Tom. Please think of the boy. When considering your donation, please consider the boy. He is here, and he will be here more if we get more donos today, because I'll tempt him to come and sit alongside me with some treats. But yeah, anyway. Why do we ask you to sub off Twitch? Well, the first reason, and the most glaring one, is that Twitch routinely bans people from its platform for talking about Palestine, for example, in any kind of humanizing way. So they are indeed pieces of shit in that regard. I could go on. There are multiple occasions where Twitch has failed to consider the struggles of marginalized people, especially marginalized streamers, on its own platform, and have done very little or too little too late in order to actually, make their lives better or easier. But it also means that 100% of the money that you spend on the stream will actually come to your boy Donkus Jonkus. That's me. And so it means that you can be safe in the knowledge that the £5 that you've spent on the stream will actually come to me and help me. I will actually be spending £5 rather than like whatever amount Twitch takes off it, or YouTube for that matter. Like, because I know I stream on YouTube now, and it's one of those where it's like, you know, I know that YouTube are just as bad. They're not as bad as Twitch for stuff like that, but I don't, you know, I don't want to give YouTube money when I do a video about an awful bastard landlord influencer, and as soon as I'm talking about like you know, like misogyny in that video, a fucking advert comes up for one of my friends who's watching the video for literally like Andrew Tate style interviews. So yeah, completely fucked. So think about that. Hariano says happy MLK Day. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Welcome into the stream. So yeah, please consider subbing off Twitch. It would be very, very cool. If we hit £250 by the end of the stream today, which we are rapidly approaching, it means that we will unlock a third double feature movie night for the month of January, which will be very exciting. What movies they are, I don't know. Something else, because we're already watching fucking Porco Rosso and Hiruko the Goblin. So yeah, you got that to consider. Anyway, there it is. There's my shill for the half of the stream. We're halfway through the stream. So, yeah, let's crack on. Well, we're more than halfway through the stream at this point. Hey, Falloter's Hammer. I've not watched Castle in the Sky already, no.
Also of the same mind. Israeli Army Commander Yair Ben David has stated that the army had done in Beit Hanon.
Goblin film, that's right. Film about goblins.
And Levi did in Nablus. And that the entire Gaza should resemble Beit Hanon. Israeli soldier Yeshai Shalev published a video against the backdrop of the ruins of what was the site of Al-Azhar University with the caption, "Once upon a time, there was a university in Gaza, and in practice, a school for murderers and human animals." Soldiers obviously believe that this language and their actions are acceptable because the destruction of Palestinian life in Gaza is articulated state policy. Senior political and military officials encouraged without censure the 95-year-old Israeli army reservist Ezra Yachin, a veteran of the Deir Yassin massacre.
Yeah, I remember when this happened. And I remember like looking up this guy and the things that he was saying. and the things that Zionists did in Deir Yassin, you know, we covered that on the stream that I did. For those of you that don't know, check out my VOD channel. I got like a socials command here in the Twitch chat, which I'm gonna like very quickly copy and paste and stick in the YouTube chat as well. Excuse me. But yeah, if you go to my VOD channel, on the VOD channel there is like a 5-hour stream about like the history of Zionism and you know, the genocide against Palestinians that's been going on for 75 years. We cover it in like quite a lot of context. So if you fancy going over there and checking out that stream, that'd be really cool. That'd help me out. If you're watching this on the VOD channel right now, then you could click on that and that could be the next VOD that you watch, couldn't it? Johnny, James, and or Jane VOD watcher. So there you go. Jordan, including a gender-neutral name in there. So there you go. But yeah, I checked out the Deir Yassin massacre on that. Oh! Pen and Tail. Thank you so much for the £10. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch and or YouTube. And thank you for supporting the stream. That takes us to £94.69. So only like, what? I don't know. £150 to go. If there's 15 people here, that's £10 each, and I know there's 50 people here at least, so please consider that. Anyway, yeah, thank you so much for subbing up Twitch. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. Where am I up to here? Deir Yassin, the stuff that the Zionists did to the people of Deir Yassin and other massacres that took place at the very, very start of you know, the occupation, the genocide and the Nakba back in the day. Just absolutely horrific. You know, it's all the stuff that they accuse Hamas and other Palestinians of doing now. You know, again, every accusation from Israel is an admission. And also welcome in Pen and Tail to the Twitch chat. How are you doing? Good to see you. So yeah, Deir Yassin massacre, like this was just crazy to hear that they brought this guy in, and this guy said some absolutely unhinged stuff, which I'm glad is now being brought up at the International Court of Justice, because I think it deserves even more than that, actually, to highlight just how sickening the way that you know, Israeli, not even active military members, like veterans of this stuff, like this guy's like lived with this stuff for years and he's no regrets, an actual demon, you know.
48. To speak to the soldiers ahead of the ground invasion in Gaza. In his tour, he echoed the same sentiment while being driven around in an officially Israeli army vehicle, dressed in Israeli army fatigue. I quote, "Be triumphant and finish them off, and don't leave anyone behind. Erase the memory of them. Erase them, their families, mothers, and children. These animals can no longer live. If you have an Arab neighbor,
yeah, he probably served in his 20s, yeah.
Go to his home and shoot him. We want to invade, not like before. We want to enter and destroy what's in front of us, and destroy houses, then destroy the one after it. With all of our forces, complete destruction, enter and destroy."
I mean, he said it's so funny, like, in that admission. Well, it's an admission. In that statement, it's an admission, like, where we don't want to invade like we did before. Okay, so you admit that you invaded a country, like, okay, cool. But then he also says we want to destroy the house, and then the house after that. It's not like they didn't do that in Deir Yassin. They did that in Deir Yassin. They did that all those years ago. They've been doing this again and again and again, you know, consistently. And to be fair, what I will say, Doctor to the thing that you say about him like serving in his 20s. Well, what's happened is he's gone his entire life knowing the stuff that he did, and the Israeli brainwashing has like consistently kept him in the mindset that what he did was right, and in fact not enough. You know, going even a little bit further there. So there you go. Gotta go eat. Have a fun with looking at genocide. Yeah, that sucks. Sorry. Well, obviously we're not having fun doing that, but yeah, it's an important job that we have to do. Yeah. Anyway,
as you can see, we will witness things we've never dreamed of. Let them drop bombs on them and erase them. As recently as 7 January 2024, a video of a soldier was posted online where he boasts that the army had destroyed the entire village of Hibet Azar. For 2 weeks, he said, they had worked hard to bomb the village and executed their mandate. Any suggestion that senior politicians did not mean what they said, much less that the meaning was not understood by soldiers in Gaza, would be without any merit. The scale of this,
which completely like obliterates that guy that we just saw, Elon Levy, who was like talking to Krishnan Guru Murthy. There's no merit of trying to say that, like, oh, actually, no, he meant something else. He definitely meant Hamas. It doesn't matter, because actually what's going on is the soldiers are doing a genocide. Like, it's without question. It doesn't matter. Like, you know, what should be happening is, if what you're saying is being misunderstood, it is your duty actually to curtail your soldiers and say, no, actually what you're doing is really bad. It's against the Genocide Convention. Don't do this. Yeah? Well, they're not doing that, are they? They're saying these things. Their soldiers are either misunderstanding it or understanding it, and genocide is happening. So that's the end of that, isn't it?
Destruction in Gaza, the mass targeting of family homes and civilians, the war being
that's right, Steph.
Children, all make clear that genocidal intent is both understood and is being put into practice. The articulated intent is the destruction of Palestinian life in all its manifestations. The genocidal rhetoric is also commonplace within the Israeli Knesset. Members of the Knesset have repeatedly called for Gaza to be wiped out, flattened, erased, and crushed on all its inhabitants.
Yep.
They have deplored anyone feeling sorry for the uninvolved Gazans, asserting repeatedly that there are no uninvolved, that there are no innocents in Gaza, that the killers of the women and children should not be separated from the citizens of Gaza. And that the children of Gaza have brought this upon themselves, and that there should be one sentence for everyone there: death. Finally, the lawmakers have called for mercilessly bombing from the air, with some advocating for the use of nuclear doomsday weapons.
Yep.
And a Nakba that will overshadow the Nakba of 48. The Prime Minister's genocidal speech has gained ground among some elements of civil society. A famous singer has repeated Mr. Netanyahu's Amalek reference, stating that Gaza must be wiped out and be destroyed with every Amalek seed. We simply must destroy all of Gaza and exterminate everyone who is there.
Like, I want to use this opportunity because I think, like, some of the like things like this that are coming out of Israel, where it's like musicians in Israel are making songs where they talk about destroying the entirety of Gaza. It's like, okay, all right, well, what this is doing, you know, you can criticize it as much as you like, and I think that that's correct to do that. But on top of it, what we're actually seeing in real time is how capitalism and imperialism dictates creativity, actually, right? I think it's a really important observation to make, in that, like, you know, this, like, absolutely awful generic pop that has nothing to it other than, like, a very jingoistic element of you know, wanting to do genocide. It's like, wow, okay, so there's just simply no creativity, yeah? No fucking creativity going on in any way when it comes to, like, Israeli musicians. They're just making songs about genocide. That's right, Layla, yeah. Stealing Palestinian tunes.
Single person there. Journalists
as well.
And commentators have announced that the woman is an enemy, the baby is an enemy, the pregnant woman is an enemy. That it is necessary to turn the strip into a slaughterhouse, to demolish every house our soldiers come across, exterminate everyone. The intentional failure of the government of Israel to condemn, prevent, and punish such genocidal incitement constitutes
sort of like that boot in your ass song after 9/11, exactly like that, yeah.
Genocide Convention.
IOF snipers call pregnant Arabs two enemies. Yeah, they do. I've heard that before.
Article 1 of the convention, Israel confirmed that genocide, whether committed in
Pro-Israel big-time rush
or in time of war, is a crime under international law, and it undertook to prevent and to punish it as such. This failure to prevent, condemn, and punish such speech by the government has served to...
What am I learning? What am I learning? It's a pop band and a sitcom. What the fuck is this? Kendall Schmidt vocals, James Maslow vocals, Logan Henderson vocals, Carlos Penavega vocals. What am I looking at? What is this? Boyfriend 2010? Arrested Development? What are you talking about? Hey Liz, what's good? Big Time Rush is an American pop music boy band formed in 2009, composer Kendall Schmidt. Nick Records? What, from Nickelodeon? They used to be big back in the early 2000s. Do not call Arrested Development a pop band. The group starred in Nickelodeon's television series of the same name, Big Time Rush. The show ran from November 28th, 2009 to July 25th, 2013. The pilot episode featured the group's first promotional single, Big Time Rush. Super mid pop music. Oh Christ, yeah. Yeah, I want to say exactly like this. I want to say exactly like this. Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, well, today I learned, chat. This is who that chatter is referring to. You know, this kind of boy band, but like singing songs about killing all Palestinians and shit. You know, that's what I'm trying to invoke the image of. You know. Anyway.
Is genocidal rhetoric and extreme danger for Palestinians within Israeli society. As MK Moshe Sada from the Likud party has said, the government's own attorneys share his views that Palestinians in Gaza must be destroyed. I quote, "You go anywhere and they tell you to destroy them. In the kibbutz, they tell you to destroy them. My friends at the state attorney's office who fought with me on political issues in debate said to me, it is clear..."
I don't think it was Logan Paul, no.
Destroy all Gazans. Destroy all Gazans. Israel is aware of its destruction of Palestinian life and infrastructure. Despite this knowledge, it has maintained and indeed intensified its military activity in Gaza. As to full awareness, in the week after 7 October, NGOs and the United Nations warned of an unprecedented humanitarian...
Chat, I'm so sorry, but there's someone else that needs to be tried in The Hague for war crimes, and that's the small cat that lives with me, and I have to go and rectify that immediately. I will be back momentarily. Give me a sec. Have some music. Okay. I was wrong. No, you're right. The kitty was innocent. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It was. I thought it was the smell of his shit permeating through to the fucking studio, but it was actually just the smell of my rice cooking. So yeah, I was wrong about that. I'm sorry, Tom. I'm sorry, boy. Tom is a saint. He is a saint. Yeah. I can't believe Muel said that about his own son. He did. He came out of me. That's a weird thing to say. I'm never saying that again. Your rice smells like cat shit. No, it's just that cat shit smells like food, doesn't it? So I'm like, oh, I'm like smelling like a food smell, and I'm used to it being his shit. So, no, my rice does not smell like cat shit. What happened to your rice? No, come on. No, it's just, no. There's a smell. It's like food. It's coming through. I'm like, is that cat shit? Leave me alone. Yeah?
Crisis in Gaza. The UN stated that actors...
Leave me alone. I know what I'm talking about.
...goods to immediately and safely reach the hundreds of thousands of people in need. So right from the beginning...
Cat shit does not smell like that. I know!
That it was depriving water, food, electricity, and essentials for survival.
I know it doesn't. Listen, here's what it is. I heard him messing around in the litter tray. I have to stand up for myself, because now I'm on trial, aren't I? Like, right. I'm used to, like, is smelling like a pungent smell, right? A pungent smell. And if I'm in the other room, I heard him messing around in his litter tray. I started to smell a smell, and I thought, I'm going to nip that in the bud, because that's his shit, right? And then I went through to the other room, and it wasn't shit. It was just my rice, right? So I incorrectly identified the smell. That's what's happening. So there you go. Scrambling to defend the allegations. I'm never gonna beat the allegations that my rice smells like shit. Yes, please give me money so I can afford better smelling food. That's what everybody should be taking from this. Not like, let's bully Muel because he thinks rice smells like cat shit. He might have also just farted. Thank you, Plink. Thank you. Yes, exactly. What if the cat farted in the room and I mistook that for the shit smell? Anyway. Yes, lots of people don't own cats, do they? That's exactly what's happening here. Cats are stinky, poopy boys and girls. You know? So that's what you've got to remember. Anyway, let's carry on with this.
Everything is closed. It is known that
it's so much more warmer since putting on this coat, chat. It's cozy now. Oh, look at this!
Dinner money.
Thank you so much. Cat Girl Steph for the £5. We're at £99.69. We got another £150. We got another £150 to go before we unlock that third double feature movie night. I believe that we could do it, chat. I believe that you could do it. Owning a cat gifts you that Christmas smell all year round. That's I think I understand what you're on about. Yeah, that is what happens. We're at 99 nice. Yes, correct. Anyway, right. Classic poop rice mix-up. We're moving on. You know, give me money so I can afford nicer smelling rice. Okay, let's crack on.
Of food and water.
By the way, we had a big wide shot there of the, you know, the people defending Israel. There doesn't seem to be one racialized person on there. You know, I will rescind that actually because Jewish people are certainly racialized. What I'm saying is that group's looking pretty white. That group's looking pretty white compared to the other one, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway.
For injury in the middle of an unprecedented bombardment of food and water and of other essentials for survival.
A lot of mayo going on in it. You know? A lot of a lack of spice in those people's diets, I imagine.
Asking for sustained, scaled up, protected humanitarian operations, appealing to all those in a situation to make a decision or influence decision makers.
Salt too spicy.
Humanitarian space to address this human catastrophe. Despite this knowledge, Israel continues to target infrastructure essential for survival. water and sanitation infrastructure, solar panels, bakeries, mills, crops.
That's right, Lily.
It bombs hospitals, decimating the healthcare system. It targets aid workers and the infrastructure of the United Nations. It is because of the policy of Israel that Gaza has become a place of death and despair. In conclusion, Madam President, many propagators of grave atrocities have protested that they were misunderstood, that they did not mean what they said, and that their own words were taken out of context. What state would admit to a genocidal intent? Yet, the distinctive feature of this case has not been the silence as such, but the reiteration and repetition of genocidal speech throughout every sphere of state in Israel.
It's true. Like, I'm looking at it and, like, you know, it's so bad, chat, because I'm listening to what he's saying and I'm going, yes, but, you know, Israel are going to argue this and it's not going to make a difference and I don't care, but, like, you know, I share the frustration that I can see in his face as he's saying this, because I think he knows this too, right? I think everybody on the other side of the room, the plaintiff side, I think everybody is thinking the same thing. It doesn't fucking matter. We need to do this because it's the right thing to do, but actually it doesn't matter, and Israel are going to continue to do this anyway because they're a genocidal state, right? I do think that if there's an international court justice ruling where they say, no, you got to stop arms sales, you got to stop all this, you got to stop this, you got to stop this, I do think that Israel are going to continue to do the things that they do. But perhaps it will sort of highlight that Israel doesn't care about international law and it's going to be a lot harder to defend them. I don't know. I think that's the only thing that you can hope to get from something like this, you know?
Court of the identity and authority of the genocidal inciters. The Prime Minister, the President, the Minister of Defense, the Minister of National Security, the Minister of Energy and Infrastructure, members of the Knesset, senior army officials, and foot soldiers. Genocidal utterances are therefore not out in the fringes. They are embodied in state policy. The intent to destroy is plainly understood by soldiers on the ground. It is also fully understood by some within the Israeli society, with the government facing criticism for allowing in any aid to Gaza on the basis that it is recanting on its promise to starve Palestinians.
That's right, Mr. Dank, yeah.
Any suggestion that Israeli officials did not mean what they said or were not fully understood by soldiers and civilians alike to mean what they said should be rejected by this court. The evidence of genocidal intent is not only...
I saw someone, perhaps even Red Planet, mention that Israel's response attempted to make points this presentation picks apart and debunks. Yeah, so they don't even care about the accusations. This is the thing. They're just going to keep saying this stuff. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, what we're witnessing is the sheer anti-intellectuality of fascism, right? Because it cannot make arguments for itself. It has to just keep repeating a lie. Just keep repeating a lie. Every single kind of humanitarian argument, every single kind of liberationist, abolitionist argument has intellectualism at its heart, right? It has logic and understanding and empathy. But fascism does not. It simply does not. It is simply just like, we're going to keep repeating this lie. We're going to keep doing it again and again and again. You know?
It is also overwhelming and incontrovertible. Madam President, it is now my honor to request you to call Mr. John Dugard on the subject of jurisdiction.
Excuse me.
I thank Mr. Ngukai Toby, and I now invite Professor John Dugard to take the floor. You have the floor, Professor.
Yeah, they got to do something about the seating in there. For real. at my man's robe.
Distinguished members of the court, it is a great privilege to appear before you today on behalf of the Republic of South Africa. In my speech, I will address the question.
Way too formal.
The people of South Africa and of Israel both have a history of suffering. Both states have become parties to the Genocide Convention in the determination to end suffering. In this spirit, neither has attached a reservation.
Hey, Great Crab, what's up?
Of the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. It is in terms of this convention dedicated to saving humanity that South Africa brings.
Hey, Crack Pyrex, good to see you.
Before the court.
Isn't the head judge on this case an American who defended the U.S. against war crime allegations or something? I don't know. I don't know how this shit works. Maybe, possibly, yes. I want to say yeah. I know that like Israel and South Africa choose their own judges. So like both states get to like ask for a certain judge to be put forward. So it's like, okay, yeah, you know, this is happening and this is happening and we're gonna appoint judges respectively because of that. So one of the judges, I imagine the one that Israel appointed is gonna be have done stuff like that, you know. So yeah, I imagine that is the case.
The prohibition on...
I'm doing good, thanks, Crack Pyrex. No worries, enjoy the lurk. And thank you for slacking off with me. I appreciate it.
Obligations owed to the international community as a whole. States parties to this convention are obliged not only to desist from genocidal acts, but also to prevent them. That the obligation of state parties to prevent acts of genocide is the foundation of the Convention is clear from its placement in Article 1 of the Convention. Article 9 of the Genocide Convention makes...
I thought it was why the South African representatives referred to the kings, etc., etc. I don't know what that is.
Convention.
What kings?
Unlike other...
Did I miss that?
Treaties designed to protect human rights, it does not oblige states to pursue negotiations as a prelude to approaching this court. It does not treat the ending of genocidal acts as a bilateral affair between states. Instead, it envisages a situation in which a state, acting on behalf of the international community as a whole, seizes the jurisdiction of the court as a matter of urgency to prevent genocide.
It was at the start. Was that like something that they have to say? I don't know. One of the lawyers was introduced as King's Counsel at the start. Oh, right, okay.
History of close relations with Israel. For this reason, it did not bring the dispute immediately to the attention of the court. It watched with horror as Israel responded to the terrible atrocities committed against its people on 7th of October, with an attack on Gaza that resulted in the indiscriminate killing of innocent Palestinian civilians, most of whom were women and children. The South African government repeatedly voiced its concerns in the Security Council and in public statements that Israel's actions had become genocidal. On 10 November, in a formal diplomatic démarche, it informed Israel that while it condemned the actions of Hamas, it wanted the International Criminal Court to investigate the leadership of Israel for international crimes, including genocide. As the court will know, the definition of genocide in the Rome Statute repeats that of the Genocide Convention. On 17 October, South Africa referred Israel's commission...
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to not get... We condemn Hamas in, like, the International Court of Justice, you know what I mean? And again, as well, it is important to mention that, like, the ANC, the current ruling party in South Africa, is pretty cool for doing this, not going to lie, certainly. But the real based party in South Africa is the EFF. And if we get time at some point soon, I'll show you the full speech from Justin Malema. I think his name is Justin Malema. I can't remember his first name, but it's Malema. He's like the chairman of the EFF, sorry. And he made a fucking amazing speech last year. It was absolutely incredible. So hopefully we'll get time to watch that maybe this week. Isn't the ANC pretty corrupt domestically? Yeah, I mean, it's an unfortunate reality that, like, a liberationist political party became, corrupted. But such is the nature of capital, right? Such is the nature of imperial core and people like, nation states that partake in capitalism. It's just always what's going to happen.
Of the crime of genocide to the International Criminal Court for, quote, vigorous investigation, unquote. In announcing this decision, President Ramaphosa publicly expressed his abhorrence for what is happening right now in Gaza, which is now turned into a concentration camp where genocide is taking place. To accuse a state of committing acts of genocide and to condemn it in such strong language is a major act on the part of a state. At this stage, it became clear that there was a serious dispute between South Africa and Israel.
Hey, Emmy, what's going on? Welcome in. Good to see you. I'm good, thanks for asking. How are you?
South Africa repeated this accusation at a meeting of BRICS.
What was with that shot?
And at an emergency special session of the United Nations General Assembly on 12 December. No response from Israel was forthcoming. None was necessary. By this time, the dispute had crystallized as a matter of law. This was confirmed by Israel's official and unequivocal denial on 6 December that it was committing genocide in Gaza. However, as a matter of courtesy, before filing the present application, on 21 December, South Africa sent a note verbal to the Embassy of Israel to reiterate its view that Israel's acts of genocide in Gaza amounted to genocide, that it as a state party to the Genocide Convention.
Fucking hell, how the fuck do I even say your name? Eflenef. Has the EFF given statements about the accusation presented by the government? I have no knowledge of that. I have no idea what you're on about, so can't comment, I'm afraid.
And an obligation to prevent genocide from being committed. Israel responded by way of a note verbal that failed to address the issues raised by South Africa in its note and neither affirmed nor denied the existence of a dispute. This was emailed later on the 27th of December.
That's okay, Emmy, no worries. Let's get some love in the chat for Emmy Faye, please.
29th of December.
Let's see those love emotes, let's see those heart emotes.
On 4 January, South Africa replied to this note verbal, highlighting Israel's failure to prevent any response to the matters raised by South Africa over the previous months, as reiterated in its note verbal. South Africa made it clear that given Israel's conduct against Palestinians in Gaza, the dispute referred to in its note verbal of 21 December remained unresolved and was plainly not capable of resolution by way of a bilateral meeting. Nevertheless, South Africa proposed a
Hey, Ekin Trunks, good to see you.
Again, out of courtesy. Israel responded to this note verbal by proposing that we reconnect to coordinate a meeting at the earliest opportunity after the close of hearings in the present case. To this, South Africa understandably replied that such a meeting would serve no purpose. Madam President, these notes verbal are all to be found in the judge's folder. The existence of a dispute is a...
Oh, you mean like has the EFF commented on the statements that the South African government has given about the Palestinian genocide? Is that's what you're talking about? I have no idea. I still have no idea, I'm afraid. No idea.
Determination of the facts as they existed at the time of the filing of the application. At this time, South Africa had already accused Israel in the Security Council.
Didn't know how else to describe it. Yeah, fair enough.
And other public fora of engaging in genocidal acts. It had conducted a diplomatic démarche on Israel, warning it that it viewed its conduct as genocidal. It had requested the International Criminal Court to vigorously investigate crimes under the Genocide Convention committed by Israel in the Gaza Strip, and it accused Israel inter alia of the deliberate targeting of civilians, intentionally causing starvation and impeding relief supplies.
Well, that is what it has done.
It accused Israel leaders
so there you go.
Of expressing, quote, the intent of committing genocide. Israel had flatly denied South Africa's accusations.
My man's got COVID.
Harsh accusations, Israel has persisted in its
My man's doing chemical, biological warfare against Israel.
Genocidal acts against the population of Gaza. What more evidence could be required to establish a dispute? It is precisely because of a situation of this kind, affecting the international community as a whole, that Article 9 of the Genocide Convention does not require negotiations as a precondition to seizing the jurisdiction of the court.
Yep, it's true.
Certainly, a respondent state cannot prevent a referral.
What would be completely inappropriate and incorrect, but also incredibly funny, would be if Israel decided to accuse South Africa of genocide in some way. like because they're doing all this rhetoric now, aren't they? They're saying like South Africa has cheapened the Holocaust and shit like that, you know. And I think that like you know, it's possible that they might be like, oh well, the South Africans did a white genocide in South Africa. They genocided white people. You know what I mean? South Africa would be like, yeah, we did. Yeah, we did actually. And what? Oh God. They're already saying that they're the legal arm of Hamas. Yeah, it's incredibly absurd, isn't it? What do you think America and Israel's reaction will be if Israel is found guilty? I don't think there will be any reaction. I think they'll just be like continuing to do what they've been doing. So yeah. A US senator spoke out against South Africa bringing this case because of their history. Yeah, it's completely insane. Like like what history? What fucking history? US senators, man, like can't stand them. Absolutely no idea. Oh, God. Fetterman is a giant pile of shit, yeah. Fetterman, you know, there are libs out there who said things like, this is such a surprising heel turn from Fetterman. It's like, no, it isn't. He's been very vocal about how he supports Israel. Like, what are you talking about? He's not once in his entire life expressed any amount of empathy or pity even for, you know, Palestinians. It's absurd. He's considered one of the more progressive voices in the Senate. Well, you know, there's lots of like quote unquote progressive voices in the Senate, aren't there? But they're not progressive, are they? They're progressive in the Overton window at which the Senate resides, but that not much beyond that, really. You know, it's very easy, in fact, to be progressive in an increasingly fascist government, isn't it? It's like, you know... Thanks for the follow, by the way, whoever that was. Appreciate that.
To the court by claiming that there is no dispute and that it wants discussions on this matter when the existence of the dispute is clear. For a state to insist on a time frame for negotiations would simply be...
I thought the guy with the hoodie was my savior.
And would run counter to the object and purpose of the Genocide Convention. Madam President, the question of the crystallization of a dispute has been addressed by this court in preliminary objections at the merit stage.
Yeah, anime guy butterfly meme, yeah.
Although the court has generally adopted a flexible approach to the subject, it has laid down a number...
No, I think you're right, Mr. Dank, actually. Yeah, I think you're right.
First, it must be shown that the claim...
That's very true, Lily.
...is positively...
A lot in common with Christian ideology, yeah.
Second, the date for determining the existence of the dispute is the date of the application, but subsequent conduct may be considered. 3, whether the dispute exists must be determined by an objective determination of the facts. And 4, a dispute exists when it is demonstrated on the basis of the evidence that the respondent was aware or could not have been unaware that its views were positively opposed. When these propositions are applied to the facts of this case, it is incontrovertible that a dispute exists between South Africa and Israel. South Africa strongly believes that Israel is...
David said to the Philistine, "Are you guys Hamas?"
...amounts to genocide. Israel denies this and claims that such an accusation is legally and factually wrong and, moreover, is obscene. So an objective determination of the facts shows that a dispute existed on the date of the submission of South Africa's application, and this has been confirmed by Israel's subsequent statements and by its continuing conduct in Gaza. Moreover, Israel must have been aware from South Africa's public statements, the démarche, and the referral of the matter to the International Criminal Court of Israel's genocidal acts that a dispute existed between the two states. Madam President, the Court has indicated that in an application for provisional measures, it is sufficient to show that there is a prima facie basis for jurisdiction.
What's a prima facie?
South Africa has convincingly established the existence of a dispute
prima facie
between it and Israel over the fulfillment of the latter's obligations under the Genocide Convention.
At first sight is what it means.
Finally, it is submitted
first face.
God should be
the first face.
Considerations that apply to the existence of a dispute under Article 9 of the Genocide Convention between a state that brings an application in furtherance of its obligation to prevent genocide and a state accused of committing...
Primavera.
This concludes my speech, Madam President. I thank you, the members of the court, for your attention. I now ask you to call to the podium Professor Max to proceed to address you on the nature of the rights
based on first impression, accepted as correct until proven otherwise. Yeah.
Rights and the measures requested. Thank you.
I thank you, Professor Dugard. Before I give the floor to the next speaker, the court will observe a coffee break of 10 minutes. Sitting is adjourned.
Coffee break of 10 minutes? Check them all getting up and going. They just included all of this. Okay, no problem. Hold up. Where do we come back? Seems like a lot longer than 10 minutes, but never mind. Here he is. The next fella. Yeah, he was hard to listen to. He was, wasn't he? It's just because he's old, innit? It's hard for old people to speak. Hello, YouTube? Yeah, like Chomsky. Yeah, literally. It is about the first face that was primed. That's literally what it is, yeah. What is happening? Why is this... Do I have to press play? Oh, there we go.
On the nature of the rights that South Africa seeks to preserve through its application and the link between such rights and the measures requested. As well established in the court's jurisprudence, and most recently in this court's decision in the Gambia case, for the court to exercise its power to indicate provisional measures, the rights claimed by South Africa on the merits, and for which it is seeking protection, must be at least plausible. This threshold does not require the court to determine definitively whether the rights which South Africa wishes to see protected exist.
What is all this about? Is this just about like, oh, we want to be able to protect it from like invasion and war and shit like that if they invade? Let's skip along to this person. This is an Irish woman, I think, who's been quite like, yeah, you can tell she's Irish because she's wearing the stupid wigs that British people made popular when they fucking invaded and you know, colonized and shit like that. Just like that fucking Malcolm Clark or whatever his name is, the barrister, yeah, barrister shit. The guy who's defending Israel, just like he's like wearing. You could tell the fucking Brits, you know. Rare proud to be Irish moment, hell yeah.
Madam President, members of the court, it is a great honor for me to appear before the court once again.
Oh wait, no, this is like a French person, but she's speaking in French, so there's like a translator. This is not the Irish person. Unless she's speaking in Gaelic.
It's a privilege and a weighty responsibility for me to represent South Africa in this case of such severe gravity. It is my task to examine the urgency and the risk of irreparable harm to the rights claimed, the final two conditions to be met for the court.
Israel has complained about blood libel, yes. Some people in the Knesset, I believe.
Before that, I should like to address South Africa's sincere apologies to the Francophone members of the court for not having made any of its submissions in French. South Africa would ask you not to regard this as a lack of courtesy on its part. If you will allow, I shall now continue my pleadings in English.
Well, again, like, you know, here's the thing, right? If they're going to criticize South Africa for not, like, bringing stuff in French, then they also need to criticize themselves for not being willing to understand, you know, the language that they're speaking in South Africa, which I believe is, like, there's various different languages that they speak in South Africa. But yeah, so it's not Gaelic, she's speaking in French.
Madam President, members of the court, there is an urgent need for provisional measures to protect Palestinians in Gaza from the irreparable prejudice caused by Israel's violations of the Genocide Convention. The United Nations Secretary General and its chiefs
Civilization is when you put funny hair on your head, right?
As a crisis of humanity, a living hell, a bloodbath, a situation of utter deepening and unmatched horror, where an entire population is besieged and under attack, denied access to the essentials for survival on a massive scale.
She is Irish for sure, yeah. I think this is that woman I was talking about.
General for Humanitarian Affairs stated last Friday, and I quote, "Gaza has become a place of death and despair. Families are sleeping in the open as temperatures..."
Afrikaans. I thought Afrikaans was the language that, like, settler, colonialist, apartheid, white people spoke. But Afrikaans is what everybody speaks there. Is that right?
Medical facilities are under relentless attack. The few hospitals that are partially functional are overwhelmed with trauma cases, critically short of all supplies.
Oh, yeah, Afrikaans is like pretty much Dutch, right?
People seeking safety. A public health disaster is unfolding. Infectious diseases are spreading in overcrowded shelters as sewers spill over. Some 180 women are giving birth daily amidst this chaos. People are facing the highest levels of food insecurity ever recorded. Famine.
Zulu's the biggest percentage of language spoken, yeah.
For children
Xhosa, and then 14% speak Afrikaans. English is the fourth most common language, 9.6%. Right, okay. It's the dominant language in the government and the media. Oh, okay, right, I'm with you. So they actually speak English, crazy.
Has simply become uninhabitable. Its people are witnessing daily threats to their very existence, while the world watches on. End quote. The court has heard of the horrific death toll and of the more than 7,000 Palestinian men, women and children reported missing, presumed dead, or dying slow, excruciating deaths trapped under the rubble. Reports of field executions and torture and ill-treatment are mounting, as are images of decomposing bodies of Palestinian men, women and children left unburied where they were killed, some being picked upon by animals. It is becoming ever clearer that huge swathes of Gaza, entire towns, villages, refugee camps, are being wiped from the map. As you have heard...
Stopped wearing wigs in court a decade ago, assumes she's from the north. She might have got a bar in England.
4 out of 5 people in the world in famine or a catastrophic...
Sorry, got her bar, done her bar exam.
Right now.
In England, possibly. Or the north.
Experts warn that deaths from starvation and disease risk significantly outstripping deaths from bombings. The daily statistics stand as clear evidence of the urgency and of the irreparable prejudice. On the basis of the current...
Lived in South Africa, moved to UK as you were just learning Afrikaans in school. Crazy, dude.
47 Palestinians are being killed and are at risk of being killed each day. Many of them literally blown to pieces. They include 48 mothers each day, 2 every hour, and over 170...
So she has a KC, which I think is a British bar thing. I might be wrong, but yeah, her name is Blin Ne. I can't pronounce this. I don't think Negrale. Gralach, it might be Blin Ne Gralach. So like, yeah, but she's
children each.
Let's find out about her.
Leading UNICEF to call Israel's actions a war on children. On current rates, which
yeah, she got a bar in England. That's what it is. But she's from Ireland.
Day, over 3 medics,
University of Westminster and Queen's College, Cambridge. Yeah, so there you go.
And more than 1 journalist will be killed.
Her mother was from Dublin. Her father was from Mayo.
Appear to be targeted attacks on their family homes or where they are sheltering. The risk of famine will increase each day. Each day, an average of 629...
You want to say Gralay, but your Irish is fucking awful. It might be Gralay. Yeah.
Times over.
Gralay.
They move from place to place, desperately seeking sanctuary. Each day, over 10 Palestinian children will have 1 or both legs amputated, many without anaesthetic.
Okay, this is a bit grim, chat, so if you don't want to hear this, I'm giving everybody the opportunity to mute after 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There is like a TikTok that I saw particularly last night. Speaking of like trying not to look at stuff even though you know you shouldn't be looking away, of a doctor in Gaza who had to amputate both of his kids' legs without anesthetic and had to watch her die from the pain. You know, like, how do you even begin to understand that grief? How do you even remotely begin to understand what that guy's fucking just been through? Like, it's just so incredibly fucked.
Each day, on current rates, an average of 3,900 Palestinian homes will be damaged or destroyed. More mass graves will be dug. More cemeteries will be bulldozed and bombed, and corpses violently exhumed, denying even...
No, there's no words. I'm feeling emotional thinking about it.
Ambulances, hospitals, and medics will continue to be attacked.
Oh yeah, I'm constantly getting like that, Adnan, yeah. How can anyone see it and just say, yes, this is fine? It's so bad.
International assistance, trying to dig families out of the rubble with their bare hands, will continue to be targeted. On current figures, one will be killed almost every second day. Sometimes in attacks launched against...
Oh, I didn't know. She represented, so not only did she, this is actually really fucking wild. I'm just reading these notable cases that she's like done about. In 2015, Negrele worked on the Croatia-Serbia genocide case at the International Court of Justice on behalf of Croatia. Both claims were ultimately dismissed. She secured an acquittal for activists Sam Walton and Dan Woodhouse, who'd been arrested for attempting to disarm Typhoon jets they believe were bound for Saudi Arabia to be used to bomb Yemen. Negrele went on to work on the Colston 4 trial regarding the toppling of the Colston statue by 4 protesters in Bristol 2020, representing Ryan Graham. And the jury acquitted the protesters in January 22. And the Times named Negrele Lawyer of the Week. And now the next notable case is this one. So there you go. Yeah, she had previously been to the Gaza Strip on illegal fact-finding in the aftermath of Operation Cast Lead in 2009. Might be Grelach. Yeah. Brizzy Legends.
Those attending the scene to rescue the wounded. Each day, yet more desperate people will be forced to relocate from where they are sheltering, or will be bombed in places...
When they started bombing Syria, we have family close by where they dropped. Couldn't get a hold of them. Ended up being fine, but even that panic was intense. Yeah, that panic is going to be every day for the Palestinians. For the last 75 years.
SF. Wounded child, no surviving family. The terrible new acronym born out of Israel's genocidal assault on the Palestinian population in Gaza. There is an urgent need for provisional measures to prevent imminent, irreparable prejudice to the rights in issue in this case. There could not...
Why is that relevant, Panda? Why is that relevant? She's quite pretty. Why? What possessed you to like think of that in your brain and go, that's going to be received well in a feminist Twitch chat? Like, what's it got to do with anything? It's not relevant to this case. It's not relevant to anything, actually. It's not relevant to anything. Whether you think she's pretty or not, yeah? I don't, like, I just don't get it. I don't understand, like, what the whole, like, why did you think it was necessary to say that here? You know what I mean? Like, what's going through your head that made you say, like, this is a cool, normal thing to say?
To be a clearer or more compelling case. In the words of the Commissioner General of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, there must
just don't say those things.
To the decimation
super easy.
Of Gaza and of its people.
Okay, cool that you admit that. Yeah, you know, like, the reason I take issue with that, in case anyone is unclear, is because, like, you know, what's implied there, and I'm not saying that this is what you meant, right? pander, but what's implied there by saying, like, she's quite pretty is that, like, women with careers, normally high-ranking careers, are somehow unpretty, right? Again, I'm not saying that's what you actively thought of when you were making that statement, when you were saying that in my Twitch chat, but it's something that I want you to try and, like, maybe subconsciously think about. Maybe you might be subconsciously thinking in the future, yeah? Because this is a very patriarchal way to assess women, you know, particularly women who are, like, doing stuff, you know, that is not kitchen-based, so.
Recently reaffirmed, and I quote, "The condition of urgency is met when acts susceptible of causing irreparable prejudice can occur at any moment before the court makes a final decision on the case," end quote.
Like, you know, we've had multiple men approach the podium and speak at length, and not one of us has said, oh, he's quite attractive, you know?
That is precisely the situation here. Any of those matters to which I have referred.
And I'm not, you know, trying to berate anyone here. I'm desperately trying to say, as a man, yeah, as a man who has liberated himself from those absurd ideas and behaviors, I cannot stress to you enough, how good it feels to be apart from that, to be not even remotely connected to those ways of thinking anymore. Yeah? It hurts us. It doesn't just hurt women, it hurts us.
Can and are occurring at any moment. United Nations Security Council resolutions demanding, quote, "the immediate, safe, unhindered delivery of humanitarian assistance at scale throughout Gaza and full, rapid, safe and unhindered humanitarian access," end quote, remain unimplemented. United Nations General Assembly resolutions calling for a humanitarian ceasefire have been ignored. The situation could not be more urgent.
That's right, Kaylin, yeah.
Proceedings were initiated,
whether intentional or not.
December 2023.
Hey, B-Rat, what's up?
An estimated over 1,703 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza and over 3,252 injured. As to the criterion of irreparable prejudice, for decades now, the court has repeatedly found it to be satisfied in situations where serious risks arise to human life or to other fundamental rights. In the cases of Georgia, Russia, and Armenia, Azerbaijan, the court ordered provisional measures, having found a serious risk of irreparable prejudice where hundreds of thousands of people had been forced from their homes. In ordering provisional measures in the latter case, the court noted the context of, I quote, "the long-standing exposure of the population to a situation of vulnerability, including hindrances to the importation of essential goods, causing shortages of food, medicine, and other life-saving medical supplies," end quote. In Gaza, as you have heard, nearly 2 million people, over 85% of the population, have been repeatedly forced to flee their homes and shelters, not just once or twice, but some 3, 4, or more times over, into shrinking slivers of land where they continue to be bombed and killed. This is a population that Israel had already made vulnerable through 16 years of military blockade and crippling de-development. Today, Israel's hindrances to the import of food and essential items have brought Gaza to the brink of famine, with adults, mothers, fathers, grandparents regularly foregoing food for the day so that children can eat at least something. Medicine shortages and the lack of medical treatment, clean water and electricity are so great that large numbers of Palestinians are dying or at
De-development feels like it shouldn't be a word, right?
Cancer and other services have long shut down. Women are undergoing caesarean sections without anaesthetic.
Oh my God.
In barely functioning hospitals, described as scenes from a horror movie. with many undergoing otherwise unnecessary hysterectomies in an attempt to save their lives.
Christ.
In the Canada-Syria torture case, the court made clear that, I quote, individuals subject to torture and other acts of cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment are at serious risk of irreparable prejudice. Well, Palestinians in Gaza are also at risk of such irreparable prejudice, with videos of Palestinian boys and men rounded up and stripped and degraded broadcast to the world, alongside footage of serious bodily harm and accounts of serious mental harm and humiliation.
Like, I don't want to watch Israel's defense statement. Yeah, I don't want to watch it, but like, I am interested as to how they're going to defend that. They probably just won't bring it up. They don't bring stuff like this up ever, do they? Right? Oh yeah, no, they were stripped down, like, and that's not even, listen, they definitely did this shit to women too. I've seen accounts, I've heard first-hand accounts of women who have been stripped as well. You know? It's not just something that happens to the guys, but they very, very much, like, you know, stripped it down. There's video of this stuff. There's videos of this stuff. Like, you can find it on the internet. It's completely, like, fucking fucked. Seeing it face to face is different from reading troll comments, though. Yeah, I guess so, but like, I don't know. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. I don't know. We're actually coming up to the end of the stream, unfortunately, because I gotta go. I've got a meeting at 7:30, and I need to eat some food. But you know, like, yeah, they like strip these guys down. You know, these are kids as well, and they say, "Give us your phone." They fucking confiscate their phones. You know. Watching it directly would be huge psychic damage, but there might be a summary that's safer. Yeah, maybe. Maybe we could watch a summary of it. Like a nice condensed... Yeah, like B-Rat is saying, the Hamas edit. How long is that? How long is the... All the times Israel said Hamas. All the times Israel said Hamas in its... hearing, in its ICJ hearing. Can you get me a link to that? Excuse me. It's probably their whole speech. Have you got it to hand, B-Rat? I can't find it in videos. On Google. Trying to find it.
In Qatar, United Arab Emirates, the court considered provisional measures to be justified, having regard to the risk of irreparable prejudice deriving from factors such as people being forced to leave their places of residence without the possibility of return, the psychological distress of temporary or potentially ongoing separation from their families, and the harm associated with students being prevented from taking their exams. If provisional measures were justified there, how could they not be in Gaza, where countless families have been separated, with some family members evacuating under Israeli military orders and others staying behind at extreme risk to care for the wounded, infirm and the elderly, where husbands, fathers and sons are being rounded up and separated from their families, taken to unknown locations for indeterminate periods of time. In the Qatar case, the court issued a provisional order where harm to approximately 150 students was an issue. In Gaza, 625,000 school children have not attended school for 3 months, with the United Nations Security Council expressing deep concern, I quote, that the disruption of access to education has a dramatic impact on children and that conflict has lifelong effects on their physical...
I'm not sure of the numbers, Panda, but like, there's definitely Palestinians here. I've spoken to many of them, yeah. There's definitely like a large Palestinian population in Manchester compared to like most other northern cities, there are like a number of Palestinian restaurants here, one of which I particularly like and go to quite regularly. Yeah, because they do pretty fucking good chicken shawarma and shit.
In Gaza. Over 60%.
Not to mention chicken shawarma, but you know, if you the vegans, listen, there's so much shit that they do, and it's really fucking good. It's like falafel wraps, okra, like a sort of like curry okra thing that's really nice, and then spicy potatoes. My mouth's watering just thinking about it. Like, so fucking good, you know.
Of schools, almost all universities, and countless bookshops and libraries have been damaged or destroyed.
Yeah, there's a huge Jewish population in the UK. Yeah, massive in
including deans of
in Manchester too. Yeah.
Palestinian scholars, obliterating the very.
Oh yeah, the Palestinian falafel goes so hard.
Children and
it goes so hard. Thank you, B-Rat. Right, let's take a look at this. 24 seconds. This video is 24 seconds long. I'm already laughing. I've not even heard it. I've not even heard it, and I'm already laughing.
Hamas of Hamas of Hamas 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 and Hamas of Hamas 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 Hamadi Hamas Hamas is Hamas 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 to Hamas that Hamas and Hamas 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 by Hamas 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 if Hamas Hamas by Hamas
no way
Hamas Hamas Hamas
no way, dude. That's just one of the guys. That's just one of them. He says it way more. He says it, 3 times, 3 Hamas a second. Like, they don't even say it that much at like fucking in the accusation. This is all within 1 minute? No, it can't be. It can't be. Genuinely, I think every time he grabs his pen in the trial, he's writing down Hamas on paper. That's pretty good. Oh, that's pretty fucking good. Yeah, Gesundheit. Yeah, bless you, dude. Anyway, listen, I gotta call it there, chat. We'll pick up the rest of this tomorrow, and we'll watch the other stuff that I wanted to watch tomorrow as well. We're gonna be watching some AI documentaries tomorrow, so I can make some notes on a video that I'm making, that I'm planning for the end of the year. If you want more information on that, please consider becoming a patron. That's in the socials command that I'm going to put in the YouTube chat, and then I'm going to quickly copy and paste and put it in the in the Twitch chat, and I'm going to put it in the YouTube chat rapidly, forthwith. Made by or about AI. Made by AI. Those are my suspicions. Basically, this is me like combining my research for videos with my main full-time job, which is streaming. Speaking of which, we didn't hit the £250 midway point by the midway point of the month. That's okay. It's understandable. I do appreciate everybody trying, but it does mean that double feature movie night, we're only having 2 of those for the for this month. But we already got 2. So it's fair enough. It's understandable as to why it's not a massive incentive. But thank you everybody for who has donated so far this month, and it would be great if we could continue to do that, continue to get that over the coming month. Listen, my stream is over, but it doesn't mean that you have to go anywhere. Those of you that are on Twitch, join us as we go to raid, another streamer. We're going to go and show some love to another streamer. Hopefully, someone who is doing some politics, doing something similar at least. We're going to go show some love to the wonderful Rob Rousseau. He is out here talking about MLK Day, I believe. So let's go ahead and check out good old Rob Rousseau, friend of the show, Rob Rousseau. Join me. There's the raid command in the Twitch. Thank you for following as well at the end of the stream there. Really appreciate that. Thank you everybody for supporting the stream today. Thank you everybody who's been by. Thank you for all the subs, all the follows, all the chats. It's been really cool. Yeah, what else can I say? I'll be back tomorrow. We'll pick up this tomorrow. I'll be probably live a little bit earlier, so hopefully see you a little earlier. And in the meantime, please follow all my socials. I'm on Blue Sky, I'm on TikTok, I'm on YouTube. Check out my latest YouTube video. I'm also I got a VOD channel on YouTube where you can get all the VODs, so you can check out more streams there as well. YouTube chatters, I'll give you a link to Rob Rousseau's Twitch channel if you want to go and check it out in the chat. And that's a way that you can join us in the raid. But yeah, until then, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting me. I'll see you all tomorrow. Mwah. Stay excellent to each other. Peace, 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 peace.